Today we've got a great crew set up. Rodney Thompson is our GM for the day, also creator
With the
of the
finger
game.
guns.
And I'll let you guys get going, and everybody can introduce themselves. Rodney, you want to take it away?
Sure, thanks, Eric. Like Eric said, I'm Rodney Thompson. I'm the designer of Dusk Outlaws. If you've played Lords of Waterdeep or Dungeons & Dragons 5th Edition or Star Wars Saga Edition, you've played games that I worked on. And I'm going to pass it around the left-hand side here for folks to introduce themselves as well.
My name is Caitlin Hodgins. I have been helping Rodney out here with Dust City. This is my first game design experience, and it's been pretty great.
My name is Stefan Schachtel, and I'm just an avid fan of all games all the time.
My name is Ed Burrell. I'm creative director for Privateer Press and founder of Skeleton Key Games, and a longtime fan of RPGs and tabletop games in general, so I'm really looking forward to this.
My name is Lane Daughtry. I'm president of Tinker House Games, and I've been playing Dust City Outlaws before it was called that.
It's true.
For actually a long time now.
That's true.
And I love the game and excited to play some more today.
All right, so since we have two players that have never played before and maybe a lot of people watching the stream that haven't played before, I'm going to give you the whole spiel rundown on how the game works. So in this game, you guys are going to play criminals that are members of these 8 different criminal cartels that are called together to do a job. You're going to be given a job by a broker. You're going to come up with your own plan, and then you're going to execute that plan. You guys are going to decide what method you guys want to use to pull off this job. It's completely up to you. There is no right way to do the job, okay? So it is completely up to you guys to plan, get out in the city and do the legwork that you need to do to get everything set up, and then execute the plan. The game is played over a course of series of days and nights. So we'll have a daytime segment, and you'll do some things. We'll have a nighttime segment, and you'll do some things. And then you have a limited amount of time to pull off the job before the opportunity passes by. So we're going to start with character creation. Character creation is actually really straightforward. You see, I have 2 different kinds of cards here. There are the red sort of tinged cards. Those are the cartels. Did you put one of each in each stack?
Yeah.
Okay. So there's 2 copies of each cartel. So 2 copies of each cartel. There's 4 of you. You'll be a multi-cartel crew. So you're going to pick one cartel, and then you're going to pick one specialty. Your specialty is sort of what you do on the job. It's like you're a thief or an assassin or the mole or something like that. So we're going to start by everybody picks one from one stack, one from the other stack, and then that's going to be character creation. So that's pretty much it for character creation. So go ahead and start that off.
Nice. I'm not going to read every
Here.
single one of these, so
Good plan.
let's
Same.
We can
duplicated.
fast forward
Yep,
this, right?
same
Awesome.
ones.
Like we can
What
edit
do you wanna be?
afterwards to make this part.
I don't know that there is such a thing as live reality editing, Lane.
Oh, I'm
There
not
you
the
go.
mastermind.
The Forgotten.
The Forgotten.
The Forgotten.
Bold
Like
choice.
Mastermind,
Is
but
it? Uh-oh,
might
uh-oh.
No, no, no.
job
It's a good
today.
choice. It's a good choice. You're good. You're good.
Calm down.
So for Lane and Caitlin, who have played before, in the stack of specialties, there's also 2 others that you may not have played with. I think Caitlin actually has, but you may not have, Lane. The top 2, the Beguiler and the Magus, are 2 of the sorceress specialties that are actually stretch goals for the campaign. So
Nice.
if we can get one of those in there, I'm sure the
Sorry,
viewing
I
audience
can hand these
would
over to other people while I
enjoy that
think
as
about
well.
it. Yeah.
Well, color me intrigued.
All right, so we
Lots
have
of choices here.
the Circle, Wardens of the Night, the Forgotten so far.
Looks like it.
All right.
Oh, sorry. I will also give you guys a little bit of information before the job starts. So this job actually involves stealing a portrait from the personal study of a shut-in noble lord. Okay.
Sweet.
All
So if
right.
that informs your decision at all,
Is his study flammable?
most studies are actually.
Good information.
The books in the study.
There's a lot of woodwork in studies actually.
I'm anybody else feeling strongly about the Magus?
No, no. You do you.
I feel like me is the Magus.
There you go.
All
I'm really
right.
Circle and Magus. I'm feeling very Nostradamus about the whole thing.
All right, so I'm
Well,
really
so
good
the-
at
the cir-
sneaking
Or not
because
Nostradamus,
I'm
sorry,
a Warden of the
Rasputin.
Night.
Rasputin, yeah.
So I
So-
feel like maybe Thief.
So one of the special rules on the Magus you'll notice is that you
Combos.
must be a member of the Circle to be a Magus.
Mm-hmm,
Each of these sorcerer specialties are tied to a specific cartel.
Well, that was an accident.
A happy accident, I'd say.
I'm so familiar with the world.
I know, yes.
And the lore,
Yes, indeed.
carefully crafted as it is.
Lane's done a few deep dives into the lore of New Dunhaven.
Yeah, I think I'm good.
May I have that stack?
So once you've picked your cartel and your specialty, sort of last step is to give your character a name. If you look on the back of your cartel sheets, you'll notice that there are some suggestions for names if you're interested in using those. Otherwise, you can come up with whatever you want. But those names are just sort of thematically recommended.
Are you checking these out?
Yeah. Is there any advantage to
Oh, sorry, were you
your
just reaching for
cartel
that?
and your
No.
specialty? There's combo advantages.
A little bit. So each cartel is kind of geared towards different kinds of plans. Like, for example, the Forgotten, they're kind of a downtrodden people that have been left behind by society, a lot of street gangs and stuff like that.
The urchins,
And
the commoners.
yeah, and so they're really good at interacting with commoners, so they're really good at pulling off cons that target or that make use of common people, right?
Okay.
The Vespers, for example, they're really good at interacting with the nobility of the city.
Okay.
All right.
All right, so it looks like you've got a character.
Yes.
What do you
I
got?
am going to be a member of the Mummers.
Okay.
And I have picked the Grifter.
Okay, Mummer Grifter. Nice.
Yep. So,
So now come up with a name and you're good to go.
yeah.
So we have a Circle Magus, a Mummer Grifter, a Warden of the Night Thief. And now we're just waiting on one more.
Well, there are certain things that seem like they're natural pairs: brawler, boss,
Yeah.
potentially.
There's some recommended combinations on the back of the cartel sheets
okay.
there that sort of
I
can
see.
give you some guidance. They're not restrictions in any way, but
So this is our specialty.
Yep, that's correct.
Okay.
So what's my deal?
So the what's your deal section is just a place where you can
Yeah,
write
so
a little
you
bit about who
are-
your character is, right? Like
Okay.
what
Sorry.
you're obviously a Warden of the Night Thief, but like what does that mean
So-
specifically for you? You don't have to go into super deep detail.
are
It's just
your
there if you want it.
skills. Things that you'll be able to do. So when you roll, you'll explain to Rodney, this is what I want to do, this is why I think it'll work, and you want to roll underneath these percentiles.
Mhm.
So if you think that these skills will be useful to what we're doing,
I think they
go
will
for it. Yeah.
Okay, I'll do it.
All right. So why don't you guys let
Sharpshooter.
me have the leftover specialties and leftover cartel sheets so that I can just get them out of the way? Because we won't need those for the rest of the show. Thank you. Set these aside.
There's not a point in the game where we can trade.
Well, so
I learned new skills. Now I'm a fighter.
actually, there is a specialty, the Fixer, that can bring in, like, oh, I know a guy, right? Can bring in another specialty as a new character that is there to help you out for one scene. So occasionally you can use those other ones, but nobody picked Fixer, so we're not going to worry about it. All right, so you've got, here, I'm going to let you borrow this pencil if you'd like. Looks like you've got your cartel and specialty. All you need is a name, and we're pretty much ready to get started. And I'll just make a big mess with my tokens back here.
I appreciate the writing between the lines of the Magus's second skill being brawl with someone.
Well, I mean,
He's a
the
mean
circle,
mage.
they are known for a few certain skills, techniques, methods.
A special set of skills.
Indeed. I don't know who you are, but I'm coming for you.
Oh man, I can't spell.
It's okay. You don't need to spell. It's live streamed. No one's going to read these. It's fine.
There's no camera on your
Right,
card,
there's no
so,
camera
yeah.
on your
Hey,
sheet.
hey,
As long as
hey.
you can read it,
That's
that's
it.
all that matters.
Well, that's the real question. Am I going to be
Yeah.
able to read this in 10 minutes?
That is a good question.
No.
Is one of your specialties handwriting?
Yeah.
Actually, it is forging a document.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah. So everything you're going to need during play is going to be on these sheets that you have in front of you. Everything's double-sided. So you'll notice on the back of your specialty sheet and on the back of your character sheet, there's some sort of quick reference information that you can use during play. On the back of your specialty is information about sort of the general flow of play. And then on the back of your character sheet is sort of a rules mechanical quick reference. All right, looks like we're closing in on being ready to start. Maybe one more name. I think we're good to go.
It's interesting to see which side of the line people write on their character sheets. You're doing it
That's
wrong.
right.
Oh, okay. fill in the box versus
I
right on
feel
top of the line.
like this is the right way. So when you get down to what's
your deal? You fill all this in, right?
You
Yeah.
have a lot of space. I mean,
Sorry, the graphic
Interesting.
designer in me is coming out.
Sure.
I'm
Sweet.
just-
No, I thought the same thing.
I feel like my entire world has been rocked
I
now
know,
by
right?
that because I'm looking at this a whole different way.
Blew Caitlin's mind.
Yeah.
Okay, everybody got a character name and everything? So I think we're pretty much ready to go. All right, so the way it's going to work is you guys are going to get the job from a broker. And the broker is a member of one of the cartels that has come up with this job and is putting together a crew to pull it off, right? So in your case, the broker is going to be coming to each of you, sending an agent out to each of you to bring them in to talk to that broker. Now, I'm going to tell you right now, your broker is a member of the Circle, which is the cartel that Lane is a member of.
We are everywhere.
Yes. But for the rest of you, a good way to introduce your characters is sort of describe what your character's doing when the broker's agent comes and finds you. So this is sort of like, think about the scene at the beginning of The Usual Suspects when like they're all being brought in for the lineup and the cops go out and find them and everybody's kind of doing something different that describes what their character is like. This is sort of what you guys are going to do to introduce your character to the players and then also our audience at home. So I'm going to let, again, Caitlin start because you've got experience. And you're to my immediate left. So why
How
don't you
convenient.
tell us who your character is and what they're doing when the broker's agents come to find them.
Okay. So my name is Gwen. Some people know my name, okay? I am a fallen member of a minor noble house who has been disgraced. I've taken in with the mummers because I have a pizzazz or flair and a gift for coordinating. So I am coordinating a group of mummers in a private show at a nobleman's house right now. When I am found and I leave to go find out about this job.
All right, nice. So, yeah, you're in the middle of, like, putting together a production
Yeah.
and
Maybe
you know,
throwing out some, like, hand magic.
special effects and
Yeah.
stuff like that. Okay. And then the Circle agent comes and sort of taps you on the shoulder, and then the scene cuts to
My name is Tommy. Tommy Stink Eye.
Tommy Stinkeye.
Why
Nice.
do they call me that? Because I always have one eye open, even when I sleep. I hear everything on the streets. Any rumor, any job going down, I hear it. I have a network of people all around me. Nothing escapes my ear or my stink eye.
Nice. All right. And so what are you doing when the broker comes to get you? Broker's agent.
Ear on the streets all the time.
Okay.
Nothing passes.
All right.
I hear rumors of a big job coming down. I want to be in.
All right. Nice. All right. Ed.
So I'm Dante Cutler, and I am your break-in and break-out guy. I don't worry about the crimes I commit so long as they're not punishable by anything more severe than prison, because I can get in and out of anything that anybody puts me into. And as I climb down a tied bed sheet from my latest escape from the joint, I turn and the agent is standing there
Nice.
expectantly.
That's good. That's good. All right. Yeah. So basically, like you're climbing out of like the second story of a district jail.
Coming down all
so,
quietly. Nobody knows anything, and they
So,
knew exactly
yeah.
where
Or
to
a
expect
lady
me.
friend.
Yeah. A shadow sort of falls over you, and at first it's like, oh no, the city watch, but it turns out it's just the broker's agent. All right. So Lane,
That leaves Vitali Pentronko.
Vitali, eh?
The agent is actually my cousin, whose name you will come up with shortly, I'm sure.
I have that. Yes.
And he finds me in the family estate, waking up quite late, because I was up quite late studying esoteric texts about the sorcery of the Fallen Empire.
Very nice. Okay. Yeah. So.
He wakes me up in bed. He's like, Vitali,
Yeah.
get up.
Right.
It's time.
All right, so the broker's agents come to the four of you, and sort of separately, you're loaded up into carriages and are led through the city to the point where you kind of get to a slum, like really run-down part of town, and it's not any place that's a totally alien to you because you're all the right kind of people, but it's definitely not a nice place, and you're led to it looks like a shop front that. It's maybe like the equivalent of a pawn shop, right? Like there's secondhand things for sale, but it's completely closed up. And your agents lead you inside, and there's nobody inside. Dust covers everything. You're led downstairs, and as soon as you pass through the door leading downstairs, the sounds of raucous laughter and shouting and cheering sort of hit your ears, and then sort of the sound of like meat hitting meat. And when you finally emerge into the basement, you realize you've been brought to like an underground fighting ring, right? There's these two like guys stripped to the waist, bare knuckle fighting each other, covered in blood and sweat, and just beating the hell out of each other. And you're led past this impromptu kumite back to sort of a side area where it looks like there are bookies taking bets, and there's a man of Vladov descent who is sitting behind the table. He is obviously your cousin. This man is named Sergei Vushenko, and Sergei has a reputation that you know, Vitaly. Sergei is known as the Hammer of Saint Isbar, and Sergei the Hammer is, well, back in his homeland, he was actually a noble and a military general in the Vladov Empire. But once the empire collapsed, he, like so many others, fled to New Dunhaven and now has set himself up as a broker for the Circle, obviously overseeing this underground fighting ring. And Sergei, he brings you all behind the table, and there's not really like a private meeting area. It's just like some chairs shoved up against the wall. So the whole time you guys are talking, like he's turned to face you, but behind him, these two guys are still just beating the hell out of each other while a crowd cheers, and they sort of hold up coins, and their bets are being placed. So there's this very violent scene taking place behind him as he talks to you. But he waits for you all to sit down, sizes you all up. He nods companionably to you, his cousin, and he says, the Circle has a job for you that I think that, I think that you will all be very good for putting this job together. He kind of pauses for a second, turns and looks behind him at the fight, and looks back at you, and he says, I need you to steal a portrait, something of great value to our people. And he gestures towards you, Vitaly. He says,
I nod deferently.
He says, there is a man that has it is a painting of great value, painted by someone near and dear to our people. And this painting is currently in the study of a man by the name of Lord Damien Cinder. And Cinder, well, he does not give up his possessions easily. Your job is to go and retrieve this painting, but there is a bit of difficulty for Lord Damien Cinder. He is a shut-in, a recluse. He does not leave his estate, and he does not allow his people to leave very often either. All of his staff, they live on the premises. But our people have recently learned of a possible opportunity to get in. You see, Lord Cinder, for all his reclusiveness, he does have some friends among the merchants. And they have a regular Grand Melee game. Grand Melee is basically like a Baccarat equivalent in the setting, right? He says, this month, it is his turn to host the Grand Melee game. But if that were all, it would not be so good an opportunity. However, once a month, always on the full moon, a very strange coincidence, but once a month on the full moon, he also plays host to a strange woman that does not seem like she should run with his people. Her name is Sophia Bloodpuddle, and she is a strange con artist. Once a month he meets with her, and it just so happens that this night, the night where he will be meeting with Sophia, is also
Like
the same night
Bloodpuddle
he is
to me.
hosting the Grand Melee game at his estate. Your job is to get in, find the painting, retrieve it, and bring it back to me safely. Do not let it get damaged under any circumstances. If you manage to do this, I will be very grateful. But if you also manage to, shall we say, deliver a message to Lord Cinder by roughing him up a bit, that would be worth a little bit of extra respect for me and the Circle. And of course, this man is wealthy and powerful and employs many guards and defenses. If at the end of the job you manage to, say, weaken his defenses and leave him more vulnerable to our future pursuits, that would please us greatly. So this is your task. The problem is, this Grand Melee game, this meeting with Sophia Bloodpuddle, it is only a day away. So you must act quickly, come up with your plan, and retrieve it without letting this opportunity pass. Otherwise, getting in could be far more difficult, and our people have had little success in the past. So, he's given you the job. You have this task: retrieve the portrait from Lord Damien Cinder's study, bring it out safely, and for a little bit of extra respect, take out or rough up Lord Cinder in the process, and make sure that his security is weakened so that subsequent efforts against him would be a little bit easier that time around. Now, the Circle, they like their violence, right? They're pretty fond of using their fists to send a message. So this seems like very in keeping with their kind of tactics.
So do we enter the complex as players in the tournament, or
That is completely up to you.
Yeah,
so at this
we gotta
point,
put together a plan.
yeah, at this point, you guys have the job, the goal, the objective. You know where it's at. You know a couple of the players involved. You know that Lord Cinder has a pretty stringent defense of personal security that's always around that could be challenging. So now at this point, what's going to happen is you guys are going to come up with a plan. You're going to do whatever you need to do out in the city to set up that plan, and then you're going to execute it. And the way it's going to work is, like I said, we're going to go through a couple of days and nights. It is daytime when you guys get this. It's like sunset of the day when you get this. So you're going to have tonight, tomorrow during the day, so 2 segments, and then you have to have finished the job by the following night. So basically, that 3rd segment is when the Grand Melee game is going to happen. It's when he's going to meet with Sophia Bloodpuddle. That's the sort of opportunity. So you're going to have, a daytime, a nighttime, a daytime to do a nighttime, a daytime to do things, and then you got that last night is when you got to pull it off. So what's going to happen is, we're going to start with a planning phase. So you guys will start by just talking for a little bit, figuring out what you are good at. Like, this is a great opportunity to tell each other, like, hey, here's the kind of things I can do. Start coming up with your plan. Start figuring out what you're going to do during legwork, because the next thing you're going to do is go out in the city and do legwork. And the way legwork works is each of you is going to take the lead on a legwork scene. And that what you do is you basically say, like, okay, here's what I want to accomplish. I want to get this resource, or set up this thing, or take this guy out, or whatever. You're going to set up that scene. Anybody else that wants to join you on that scene can join you. And then we're going to play that scene out and see if you succeed or fail or whatever.
and
right?
everybody gets alternate scenes
Everybody
to create?
gets to lead one scene, but you can participate in as many of other people's legwork scenes as you want to, right? This is just sort of a way to let each of you kind of take the spotlight and then accomplish a single task. If you look on the back of your specialty sheet, you'll see there is a blue highlighted box. That box kind of gives you the format that you're going to be using to set up your scene, because you guys are going to set the scene for a lot of these scenes. You're going to drive a lot of the setup for these scenes, and then I will be introducing complications and obstacles that will make things a little bit more difficult on you. But to start things off, we always start with a planning scene. It's sort of free. It comes as a part of the getting the job from the broker. Now, Lane and Caitlin, you two have played before, so I'm going to let you also help these two kind of understand, how legwork scenes and plans all sort of play out.
Yep.
But again, to emphasize, there's no right answer here, right? So whatever plan you guys come up with, that's your plan.
There's
right?
no right or there's no wrong.
Well, there's no predetermined correct path. Let's put it that way. All right, so the one unique thing about planning scenes is that there's a 15-minute real-time timer on this. At the end of 15 minutes, your planning scene ends. Okay? So you got 15 minutes to talk amongst yourselves, come up with your basics of your plan. Since you have the daytime and the nighttime to do things, you're going to definitely do legwork for the daytime, right? Then when you get to the nighttime, you can either take another planning scene to set everything up for the final act. Sorry. You're going to take the nighttime for legwork. You're going to have daytime to either do another planning scene for setup, or if you want, you can do another set of legwork, depending on how much of a plan you come up with. So I'm going to go ahead and turn this over. If we run into any points where you guys have questions about the rules or anything, I'll stop the timer, okay?
Sure.
Okay, cool.
Now, one thing before I start. on your sheets, on your cartel sheets, there's a section called Things You Know About. That is just stuff that your character knows about. So if you have a question about a person or a place, there's a chance that you might just know the answer to that. So I might periodically say, like, hey, do you know about nobles, or do you know about merchants, or whatever? And if you do, then I'll just give you some free information. All right? It's usually a good idea during the first planning segment to figure out what you're going to do with each of your legwork scenes, like what's the setup for each of your legwork scenes, so that you kind of have a plan of how things are going to play out. Okay? All right, I'm starting the timer now.
What part of the city is the estate in?
Does anyone know about nobles?
Yes. Wait, no, I'm just good with nobles. I don't. I lied.
You can pretty safely assume it's in a noble district. And in fact, actually,
I asked my cousin.
Yeah. Sergey, he tells you
He
that
has the
yes,
answers.
it is in a noble district. The district that is in is the Duchy of Coronetta, but he doesn't have a lot more information for you beyond that. He's never been there before, for example, right? So it is in Duchy of Coronetta.
I do believe that I know probably the majority of the staff. I know them, or I know their families. I know somebody related. I think I can get us in.
Well, I can actually spend an influence and hire a mummers troupe that I can go in with, and I can probably sneak someone
that's
else in
interesting
with.
too.
Right.
So if someone wants to join as like a fighter for this, right, and you want to get in with family, we can kind of disperse and meet on the inside.
Yep, we could be
Okay.
servers. We can come in. They're probably going to be hiring extra staff for the event. It's a big soiree.
Now, one piece of information that I will point out that you did get from the broker is that Damien Cinder is a recluse.
Yeah.
And all of his staff lives on the property.
Yes.
So that they don't come and go very often. So the idea
Right.
of inserting a mummers troupe might be a little challenging.
Oh.
But
Okay.
is
It
it
can be
well,
done,
is it
but it might be
possible
challenging.
is it possible that someone would be bringing a mummers troupe as entertainment for a prelude to the game?
For a card game?
Well, is it if okay, so this is
For
a
a
sit-down
high-
table. This
It's
is
basically a high-stakes baccarat.
Okay,
game.
never mind.
Right.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, I missed.
Yeah, I was.
Does
Moving in a
anyone
different
have
direction.
the ability to figure out who might be attending to spend an influence and get that information?
Well, any nobility has a staff. I could ask the staff, are you guys preparing to go? Do people come with an entourage? Do the nobles come by themselves, or they bring their handmaidens or servants or butlers or concierge with them? Someone to announce them? They have a train?
So you do know that all of the attendees of the card game are merchants. Your broker told you that much. Merchants, they are effectively wealthy commoners. They're not of the noble class, but they do have a lot of money, so having personal servants is not that far out.
Okay. So I'm guessing I can find out who's going.
Yeah.
So
Right.
you remember the Forgotten. The Forgotten, they sort of have their own information network, right? It's basically, you've got tons of street people that can pass information back and forth. It's a completely legitimate use for your influence to reach out to your network and get information like that, right?
So, real quick, on as far as gameplay,
Yeah.
how do I know how much influence I have?
that
what
coin
would
right
those
there
be?
is
I'll ask.
influence.
What's
So,
that? Oh,
that's something I wanted to
that's-
mention. So influence is it's basically a representation of your social connections and your cartel's resources. It really means like how you're connected, how much influence you have in the city. Everybody starts with one influence that they
Okay,
can
so this
spend.
counts as one.
Yep.
Okay.
Everyone
brought
starts
in.
with one they can spend. There's
That could be
also
part of
one
the
that the
multi-part
entire
thing.
crew has as well, right?
Okay.
So you have a total of 4, one for each of you, and then one shared influence. When you spend it, it's gone. You can get more influence, and I'll stop this for just a second while I tell that. You can get more influence by when you set up your legwork scene. If the legwork scene that you set up is particularly risky or dangerous or exciting, so for example, instead of saying like, oh, I'm going to go down to the bursar's office and look up this information in the the rolls. If instead you're like, no, I'm going to break in and steal this and whatever, and it's more interesting, then I'll give you another influence to spend.
So you don't get a lot of influence if you're like, I'm going to take a nap.
Right.
That's not.
You don't get any, just to be clear.
Basically, fortune favors the bold, and in this
Yes,
case, that's
sure.
more influence. And you can spend influence at any time to basically do narrative-bending things. There's the bulleted list of things you can spend influence on. Those are just sort of suggestions. It's not like a hard and fast set of the only things that you can do,
Okay.
but it kind of gives you the kinds of things that your cartel allows you to spend influence on.
So, for example, it says tap into the Forgotten Information Network to learn the current state of a person or place. So, for me to get a grasp of every attendee and who's going to this thing, I conceivably could do that. Would that
Yeah.
cost me 1 influence?
That would be 1 influence, yeah. Because like all you're really getting at that point is like, okay,
This
who's going to be
information.
there,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
Okay.
So also on the influence, if you can basically weave a tale that makes sense for your character and your skill set, and Rodney buys it, you can spend your influence that way.
Right.
So it just has
Okay.
to be within the realm of possibility for your
Yeah,
character.
it makes sense.
Yeah.
All right. So I've got one that's basically gain access for you and your crew to one of the city's reserves.
Yes.
Being city guard.
No, the reserves are basically giant Central Park-sized forest reserves.
I
in
was
the
totally
city.
Oh,
wrong
okay.
about that.
Gotcha.
Yeah, your cartel they kind of live in the forest reserves of the city.
Yeah,
sort of
sneaky.
Robin Hood.
All right. No need for Central Park here.
I knew it would be too easy to be hired for a social event. I knew it,
For this particular
You're
one,
like,
he's
"Slam
not
dunk."
really interested in hiring a lot of people.
but I'm pizzazzy.
Yeah.
Good fun.
Well, as an inn, I like finding out who's attending,
Yeah.
finding out what weaknesses they have that we could possibly manipulate.
And if you wanted to spend that influence right now, you could get that information right now.
I think that might be worthwhile, so we have
Yeah.
something to work with.
It'll give us leads for the legwork scene too, because we
Right.
can decide who we want to go talk to, what things we want to find out about.
Okay.
I might be able to sell my services to a merchant who's interested.
Right.
Do you want to do that?
Yeah, I think
Okay,
it's
go ahead and
it's
give
valuable.
me your influence.
Okay.
All right, so you reach out to the Forgotten Information Network, and your goal is to get the attendee list for this high-stakes Grand Melee game, right? Yes.
'Kay, yep.
Okay. Cool. All right. So takes a couple hours to come back, but yeah, turns out your people have heard the scuttlebutt through the grapevine of who's going to be there, based on like who's bringing what servants. So you know the following attendees: Wentworth Wright, a merchant whose trade consortium made their fortune building sailing vessels. Mandrake Riverford, old investing money who doesn't really have a job and just sort of lives off of his earnings. Alexei Dragov, a Vladov noble whose family immigrated to New Dunhaven when he was a boy, bringing their wealth with him. He turned that money into a successful armored carriage business.
Another cousin.
Tiana Longdraw, the owner of Longdraw's Counting House. And Coralina de Montaña, a professional gambler.
What's the last name? Can you say it one more time?
Montagna?
Coralina de Montaña.
They're letting a professional gambler in?
Indeed.
Unless he's rigging the game so that he can take all the winnings.
I've seen this movie. This sounds familiar.
That was pure conjecture, by the way, just so everyone knows. I just made that up. Okay, cool. So I think I'm going to go talk to Mandrake. He's old money. He's probably fairly frivolous, right? See if he wants to hire us as entertainment, or at least a mummer's troupe in general. We should case his house.
That's what I was thinking. I want to find out precisely, if I can, where that painting is and where this game is going to be held.
Yeah.
Because it's going to screw us and it's going to be in the same room.
On Cinder's property, right?
Totally. Steal this painting in front of everyone.
Yes. That is my fear.
Alexei, what was the last name of the
Dragov.
Dragov, not Vladov, Dragov. That
Call
a,
Mom, check the family
circle
tree.
noble is a very interesting opportunity for me to go talk to. Sorry, I'm
also,
trailing off there and thinking.
I should also point out, by the way, so Tommy Stinkeye, something else
Yes.
sort of yes, thank you, Tommy Stinkeye. Something else sort of triggers your memory here. You've actually heard of that woman, Sophia Bloodpuddle, before. You know that she is a slum-dwelling miscreant who is constantly in trouble with the City Watch.
She's your kind of people.
Is she playing a con on Mr. Cinder? Perhaps she too wants the painting.
All you know is that she meets with
Mhm.
Lord Cinder once a month on the full moon.
moons.
Okay.
So, can anyone find out if we can talk to Sophia ahead of time? Does anyone? I know the right kind of people. Do I know anything about Sophia?
No.
I know we all know the right kind of people, but I have
Yeah,
dreams.
you specifically know about
but
it.
I specifically know.
In this case, no.
Okay.
She is not a member of a cartel, to your knowledge.
Oh, interesting.
Can I take a step back
Yeah.
on the world?
Yeah, sure,
So what is to be expected in the world? There's magic.
Yep.
Are there other creatures? Are there fantastical creatures?
Sure.
Is
So
there-
basically, it's
what is this?
think of it
paint a
sort of
picture.
like a fantasy version of Venice on the scale of modern day New York City, right? Just massive, massive fantasy city. All humans, no like elves or dwarves or anything like that. But there is sorcery. Sorcery is it's black magic, basically. It's forbidden. It's frowned upon. It's illegal. It is extremely costly, and it is often very unpredictable as well. There's no like overarching magic system. It's just sort of individual instances of sorcery that come around. It's generally feared by the populace as well,
And illegal.
and very illegal.
Okay,
yes.
Yeah.
On the other hand, there is also alchemy. And alchemy it's the science of the setting in a lot of ways, right? It allows a city on the scale of New York to exist at this technology level, right? Alchemy produces wonders that are seen all over the city every day, right? But otherwise, no, like there's a little bit of, there are occasionally rumors of monsters or, there have been individual instances of like, oh, there's this sorceress creature or something like that, but nothing overt, always in the shadows, always kind of hidden from sight.
Okay. Vampires, werewolves, those kinds of creatures might exist.
Yes. In fact, the scenario that got run earlier today on the High Rollers channel featured a werewolf-like creature, for
Okay.
example, but not common at all, not common knowledge, and would be sort of relegated to the realm of rumors until they rear their ugly head.
Okay.
Does that make
Okay.
sense?
Yeah.
Cool. All right.
So I have a question.
Yes.
I also know about art. Is there any chance I know anything about this piece of art?
I'm glad you asked, yes. You know that the portrait depicts Lord Lucian Cinder, a man who has been dead for nearly 200 years.
Is
Lucian Cinder.
You have heard
what a
of this
name.
piece before because it was actually created by a Vladov artist some 200 years ago, before the collapse of the empire.
has
Maybe a
Damien
pencil?
Cinder owned this the entire time?
The
Or
portrait?
Yeah, the portrait.
You don't know.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's
And
Do we know if it's ever been forged?
what I was thinking.
Don't know?
does forge a document extend to forging a piece of art? Or is that pushing my luck since obviously I haven't seen it, but like in a world where I had.
Sure. Yes, forged document would cover that.
Ooh, interesting. So if I can get in to see the art before we go, which I think is pushing our luck a little bit, I could potentially forge a replacement of it, but we don't have much time for us to do that. So it's probably, if I go with you when we case the joint, maybe we can do that.
Okay.
Depends on how close we can get.
What's the woman's name? Blood
Sophia
Puddle.
Bloodpuddle.
Blood Puddle.
Blood
Blood
puddle.
puddle.
That's what I
Yeah.
thought I
I'm
heard.
That's
I
what
was
I
like,
thought I heard as well, and yet I hesitated writing it down. I was like, that's a little on the nose. That's
Blood
dark.
Puddle. Full
Although
moon.
I have my suspicions about Sophia Bloodpuddle.
Sophia Blood
Do
Puddle.
you want to share those suspicions?
Well, actually, they sort of test the boundaries of what the world is, and I don't know that yet.
Okay.
It's either vampiric or it's lycanthrope.
Okay.
Full Moon says something interesting to me.
Yeah. Why not
I guess
werewolf?
that's true.
Yeah.
Why not werewolf?
Yeah,
it says,
lycanthropy, yeah.
Oh,
it says red herring to me.
It absolutely could be.
It's
I'm going to tell you guys, in all
It's
of my time
obvious.
in New Dunhaven, I have never come across a vampire or a werewolf.
That's what I'm saying.
But I'm excited
But also,
to.
I haven't come across a Magus yet either, so who
true.
knows what's happening these
That's
days.
true. We don't know. Okay. So,
All right, looks like you guys
I've
are
seen
a little over
weirder
halfway through
things.
this
was in
planning scene.
character.
what do
so-
you want to do for your legwork scene?
what I like to do is I think that there's value in trying to integrate us into getting in as staff
'Kay.
for the event. So perchance I can convince a couple colleagues, I'll call them colleagues, but in the network, that they call in sick. And,
Yeah, you're talking about like the servants of the merchants that
Okay.
are going to the.
yeah.
the
I
okay.
assume that even though they all live on the property, they have to leave to get
So
sundries,
the
things get
merchants,
delivered.
the merchants that are coming into the game will probably bring their own aides with
Yeah.
them. So that's probably who you'd be replacing as
Yeah,
well.
So
maybe
is
talk
it-
to your guy, get us in. We are
Is there any way you could get hired on by somebody as sort of like security or something like that?
Nothing
I'm not-
gets past
I
old
don't know.
Tommy Stink Eye.
I'm not gonna have a problem
I'll
getting
say
in.
yes.
Like I can access the estate pretty pretty readily.
Okay. Would it be worthwhile for us to have different points of entry? So maybe there's a thief that's you're looking kind of an overview. There's some staffing. There's a forgery.
I think
there's
it's ideal for us to plan to try to get a mummers troop in, because they can also be used as a distraction for you to try to move in, or for some of us to try to move in as servants if we can, because we don't know at this point what may or may not fall through based off of how the dice roll. So I think we should lay as many breadcrumbs as possible. So I'm going to talk to Mandrake. You're going to talk to another merchant to see if you can get in as security or replace one of the servants. You're going to case the joint.
Yes.
What are you going to do?
I have a couple of things I think are potentially interesting. One's kind of banal, which is I'm curious. So if this is an estate that's somewhat insular because this guy is recluse, certainly they've got to get, they're provisioned from somewhere. I'm sure they're not a fully sustainable outfit.
Yeah, right.
It's not just farm to
self-sustaining,
table inside the walls.
Right.
So that is a potentially interesting avenue of ingress there. The other
Deliveries.
thing I think is interesting is Alexei Dragonov. Rodney?
Yeah, sorry.
Alexei Dragov or Dragonov?
Dragov.
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 So a wealthy Vladov native going to a high-stakes gambling game with somebody that's already showing a propensity for fine works of art. I can actually get my hands. One of my things is I can use my influence to get my hands on a fairly expensive artifact from the Vladich Empire. And using that as stakes in a gambling game is potentially interesting, but it'd mean ingratiating ourselves to this
Or could you
circle.
get dirt on him?
That's interesting, too, to try and
'Cause
leverage it against them.
You could
Do
use
some
blackmail to be a part of his crew when he goes into the estate. That's another option. I'm just throwing it out there.
Is
It's
another
also
option us getting-
my thing is I'm good at affecting actually. Like I can't detect aside from normal like being able to read people. I can't read minds, but I can affect emotions and influence.
That's correct.
I can. And how overt is that? Like if I do that, is it obvious that I'm over there doing this, or is that a force of will thing?
That it becoming obvious might be the result of, say, rolling some drawbacks on the roll.
Okay,
Otherwise,
so
you can
it's
assume
not
it's
at
not.
its base overt,
That
but
is
it could
correct.
turn that way
That
depending
is
on how
correct,
things
yes.
go. Got it.
Just throwing this out as an option, would it be worthwhile to see if we can get invited as wealthy merchants to play? I mean, I do have play games. You're a mummer. You're an actor. Could we pretend that we are merchants and play the game?
If one of us was a Vesper, it might be possible, but none of us really has a propensity for that.
It also sounds like the roster has been filled. I think it would be a little
I imagine they're
suspicious filling
regulars,
it at the
too.
last minute.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think we have a lot of options to get in right now. That's not really where we're hurting. So I think we all have a legwork scene planned.
Okay.
And the more of us who go along on these legwork scenes, the better we are, especially since, like, you have case the joint. So when we go case the joint, you can roll that and see what's going on.
Okay.
Also, if things go terribly awry, we can throw down distractions and run like hell, which is actually one of my skills. I'll get away. We'll be fine.
It sounds like you guys at least know what you want to do during your first legwork phase.
Yeah.
So why don't we go ahead and jump into that?
Yeah,
Yeah. Okay, great. So like Caitlin actually just said, each of you is going to take the lead on a legwork scene. It's usually a good idea to have at least one other person go along with you, maybe two, because there's going to be obstacles in every legwork scene that you have to deal with. When that happens, if someone comes along with you, they can take care of the obstacle while you take care of the main thing, right? If you try and do it all yourself, you're going to start getting penalties, basically, because like it's hard to do everything by yourself, right?
Gotcha.
Additionally, if you are along for the ride, you can help someone else, and when you help someone else, you give them advantage dice, basically, which are these positive dice that go on top of your normal die roll. So it's a good idea to have people there to deal with obstacles and also give you those extra dice, right? And plus, if things do turn into a drama scene where there's like a fight or something, that way you have somebody else along with you to help, right?
Cool.
All right, so now I'm
multiple
going to...
targets.
Yeah, exactly. I can tell you about one more mechanic that I haven't introduced at this point. That is heat. So, heat is represented by these little tokens right here. Heat represents the impact that your criminal activities are having on the city. So basically, the more you guys do in the criminal underworld, the more the city watch starts to react to it. Citizens are reporting suspicious activity or crimes or whatever. By default, at the start of every day or night segment, you guys each generate 1 heat just by being on the job, because the city watches, they're always on the lookout for you, right? So, 4 heat. right there. If you guys commit really big, like obvious crimes, like killing someone or taking a hostage or something like that, stealing something of really high monetary value, those can all generate heat as well, right? I've actually got a list over here if you want to kind of look at the kind of things that generate heat. It's the stuff in this blue box, and I'll hand that out to you guys. But basically, it's like your normal crimes that you're going to commit as the part of the job. They're not going to necessarily generate a lot of heat, but you might if you do really big things that piss people off a lot, right?
Yeah.
I can spend heat to introduce complications. So things might start going wrong as I spend heat to add like city guards to the scene, or and then like right at that exact moment, an antagonistic noble comes around the corner and you got to deal with them and stuff like that. So there's a sort of a reaction that the city has to the actions that you guys have based on heat. So you generated 4 heat. The other way you generate heat is by being conspicuous. Another way you generate heat is by being conspicuous. In your appearance section, it tells you where you are conspicuous. That's just different districts of the city where you are going to be conspicuous. When you take part in a scene where you're conspicuous,
Just daytime.
you're going to generate.
All
heat.
districts during the day.
That's right.
I'm
stand out.
conspicuous
Look at that.
everywhere as well.
Look at that woodsman.
Yes.
What's that woodsman doing?
What's that man with the weird,
Yeah.
like coonskin cap or
Why would
fox
he wear-
head on
holding
top
an
of his
axe?
head? Right? Yeah.
How
Okay.
quaint.
So, night falls over the city of New Dunhaven, and it is now a chance for you to get out into the city and do your legwork. So, who'd like to start taking the lead on a legwork scene? You can do them in any order you want to.
You wanna case the
Also,
joint
you can
first?
kind of share information between yourselves between legwork scenes. Time's kind of flexible here.
Can I put the word out to my network and still case the joint? I mean, I don't have to
So
talk to everybody.
if you want to do that as like your legwork scene is to put the word out or whatever, you can do that as your legwork scene. And then like if he's going to go case the joint, you can just be a part of his scene.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
So I mean, I think probably casing the joint first will inform a lot of what our other legwork scenes might be. So yeah, that will be my legwork scene.
So your plan is to go to Cinder Manor and check it out.
Yes,
Okay.
and I believe that Tommy and Gwen would be appropriate to go along, and obviously, if Vitali wants to go along, I'm going to pronounce your name wrong the whole night.
Vitali.
Vitali.
Sure. Yeah, that's it.
Vitali, can you beat people up?
What's that?
Can you beat people up?
I can.
Okay, so like you're bringing thunder and lightning?
Yeah.
Okay, because I can only run away and throw playing cards at people.
You don't come up circle without being able to punch guy.
Okay.
That's right.
All right, so we're gonna case the joint together.
Okay. So you're heading into Cinder
Bar
Manor.
mitzvahs are very violent.
Cinder Manor is in a noble district, like I said. It is in the Duchy of Coronetta. This is really old nobility, like noble families that date back to the founding of the city that came over from Elderland with the first settlers, right? So really ancient families. And as you are heading into this district, first of all, I want to know who's going to be conspicuous here. I know you're not because it's nighttime,
Correct.
and you just like blend into the shadows, right? I know you are because you're a mummer and you're
am.
always conspicuous. So that's 2 for you. Anybody
I'm
else
also
conspicuous?
conspicuous in merchant and noble districts.
Okay, and
I'm conspicuous in noble district, so this is.
all right.
Good
We're
plan,
gonna
guys.
generate heat no matter what.
Yes,
We
right.
might
You
as
can't
well.
not.
Yeah, don't be afraid to generate heat. Just be afraid of what Rodney does with it when it happens.
So also heat doesn't go into the heat pool immediately. It's going to pile up over the course of the scene, and then at the end of the scene, it'll go into the heat pool that I can spend it later. So it can't hurt you right now, but it might come back later. Okay. Okay. So you head to Cinder Manor. Why don't you tell me a little bit about what your general approach is going to be to casing out the joint?
Well, the first step is I think from a distance we want to check out what kind of perimeter that it has, right? What kind of structures are within that perimeter, and then where we think the likely building, if there are multiple structures, are. I should be able to actually enter the premises if I want, but I'm not sure how wise it would be for anyone else to go in.
So I do want to throw one thing out there. I have distraction. When you are in a scene and other members of your crew do not generate. Oh, never mind.
What?
Oh no, they do not generate heat for being conspicuous in that scene because I provide a broadly visible and could reasonably be viewed as a distraction.
All right. So if that's something you want to do, you can make that your role in the scene is to be the distraction.
But
if
then
you
all
want.
the heat goes to you, right?
I would also point out that as the grifter, you have the ability to create an identity for yourself to not be conspicuous in this district as well.
Well, that's true too.
So you can basically choose: do you want to be the distraction, or do you want to be do you want to blend in?
I'd rather blend in
Okay.
because I'd like to be able to go along with you and see if I can see the painting.
Okay. Yeah, that's true.
All right, so
Right,
that means
we
that
need to get you in there.
the two of them will generate heat, but you will not. So
Okay.
it goes down from 6 to 4. Okay, so you've got a guise as a noble, or as a noble, as a merchant. What is it?
As a merchant.
As a merchant. Okay,
Yeah.
wealthy merchant, right?
Yes.
You don't blend, or you blend in noble districts now, right? Tell me a little bit about this identity that you created for yourself.
So I am a. I was gonna say big deal, but you guys already know that. I already covered that. I am a merchant who is known for being the gambling type.
Okay.
Right. So I kind of walk with a swagger, and like my hair is like really big right now because
Okay.
I'm like.
Is that what gamblers are like to you? The big-haired people?
In my mind,
Okay.
it is.
Okay.
Like New Jersey.
I smell of
yeah.
I smell of
Gold
fine
purse.
whiskey.
Okay.
And I'm kind of walking
You
around
might
right
just be an
now.
alcoholic.
Yeah, right.
You might just have a problem, Glenn.
This is actually not a job. It's
Exactly.
actually an intervention.
We've called you here.
Just let loose. Just be you.
Exactly.
Just be
Sergey
you.
walks in. He's like, "Oh, there is no portraits."
So I'm walking around with a deck of cards in my hand, right? And I'm looking for a game tonight,
All right.
and I'm kind of just out and about
Okay. Yeah, sounds good.
doing my drunkard things.
All right,
apparently.
so it sounds like the main thing you want to get out of the setting is the layout of the manor itself.
Yes.
Both interior and exterior, right?
Correct.
Okay, that seems legit. That's like like every time you set up a legwork scene, you kind of create like what's my main goal of
Okay,
the scene,
gotcha.
right? So it sounds like you want to get layout, interior and exterior of the place,
Yes.
starting from the outside and then sneaking in for you specifically, right? All right, so as you guys are approaching the manor, I'll say the base obstacle that you're probably going to need to deal with is, it's nighttime at a noble's manor. He's got a whole staff of security that you're going to have to deal with. So just around the outer perimeter of his estate, there are going to be, patrols of security guards. They're going to be going, to look and see if anybody is sneaking around. I'm going to say that as you approach, you just quickly sort of count by watching for a few minutes, and you see that there are 4 security guards that are patrolling the grounds on the outside. So while your thief companion should have no difficulty getting inside, if any of you try to also get in or sneak around or anything like that, those guys could be a major obstacle. So it might be a good thing to take care of them in some way. Now, take care of them doesn't necessarily mean beat the hell out of them, right? But what it might mean is distract them or, whatever. So you're starting on the outside.
Or outdrink them.
Or outdrink them.
or pretend like you showed up a day early for the game, and maybe you're just a distraction in general.
Sure, if that's what you want to
Do
do.
you guys want me to do that? I can just give up on. I'm not gonna be able to sneak in with you. I have like literally no sneak. Also, my hair is huge. How am I gonna get in that window?
This doesn't sneak anywhere.
This doesn't sneak, guys.
So we could do that, and that so the spending of influence, does that need to happen? Need to have set that up ahead of time?
You usually do it during a planning scene
Okay.
or before a legwork scene starts,
Gotcha.
because the idea is that you go out and talk to your contacts, right?
Right.
It's not like you won't have cell phones, right? So
Sure, of course.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, but if it can make sense, you could do it mid-scene, like, oh yeah, I run around the corner and find a forgotten street gang and use my influence to get them to do a thing, right? So you can do it in the middle of the scene, but mostly you do it as setup.
Okay, yeah. No, nothing really that applies
Okay,
here. But
cool. All right, so it sounds like Gwen is going to try and distract the guards a little bit before you try and do your infiltration.
So we talking like just wall or just lawn? Like how big's the estate? What
Sure.
are we? How are we essentially breaching?
Right. Yeah. So it's a big sprawling estate that has a big yard that leads up to a manor house, but there is a stone wall topped with like iron grating along the top all the way around the estate. That's pretty common for noble estates, is to have stone walls. This one's kind of decrepit and looks like it's falling apart. Looks like it's not well maintained, so that it's pitted and there are places where like the stones have fallen off, but nothing where it's like collapsed entirely. There's also a big wrought iron gate that is sort of spotted with rust. It looks like it's also not well maintained. That serves as the main entrance, and there's like a drive that goes up to the mansion.
Are there other people milling around, or is it just?
I mean, it's, like New York, it's a city
When?
that doesn't really sleep, right?
Okay.
So there are people on the streets, but it is night in a noble district, so it's a little bit quieter. It's like walking around in downtown Bellevue in the middle of the night, right?
Okay.
Like, there's people, but there's not a lot of people, right?
All right. So I am going to move down the driveway towards the front of the house at like a skip, but like a drunken skip. So like
Okay.
you can tell maybe I've already been drinking.
Sort of a skip stumble or scumble, as I like to call it.
It's a scumble.
Okay.
And I have my playing cards out, and I'm kind of like walking down there, and I come to the front door. Is there a guard at the door?
Yeah, there are guards on the gates, basically.
Okay. I'm
So-
going.
So my thought is basically our position is going to be to Gwen's facing. So if she's coming down the street,
Yeah.
and anybody communicating with her is going to
Yeah.
come this way, we're back that way.
Okay.
And we'll
All right, that sounds great.
All
top
right.
the wall.
All right, so you approach the gate, and there are 2 guards there, and you can see that there's 2 other guards that are kind of patrolling around the grounds that are within earshot, right?
Okay.
So you approach, and as you sort of scumble up to them with your cards in hand, they
Scumbler.
snap to attention and immediately pay attention to you as you approach and are looking at you warily.
Gentlemen, I give them like a low bow, but
Okay.
my hair kind of goes everywhere because it's not sprayed for me to come
The
forward.
wig falls off.
Yeah, so like I stand back up and I'm like fixing my hair.
Mm-hmm.
Good evening.
They sort of eye you askance. They're like, "Yes, can we help you, ma'am?"
I am here to play games. I have brought my own cards.
They exchange a look, and as soon as you're kind of making a lot of noise at the front gate, you see the 2 guards that are patrolling are also kind of moving up towards where you are. One of the guards finally gets over his stunned like, "Who is this woman?" And he says, "I'm sorry, game, madam."
Game. Surely you have heard of me. I'm Gwendolyn, owner of Bee in the Bonnet, fine clothing and hair.
All right, why don't you give me a roll? I would say either roll to distract someone or lie to someone. Either one of those is legit.
I'm gonna go with lie to someone.
Okay. You know what? And because you've got your identity as like a merchant, I'm going to give you 1 advantage on this. So for you guys that haven't played before, your skills are straight up percentages, right? Like every time that you try and do one of those things, you're just rolling percentile dice and trying to get under that number. Doesn't matter what you're doing, as long as it's not like so ridiculous that it can never succeed or so easy that you can never fail, right? But positive and negative circumstances that surround the situation, like for example, how she has this whole cover identity she's crafted, can give you advantage and challenge dice. These are these symbol-driven dice that you see here, and what they are is each one represents like a positive or negative circumstances on your roll. When you roll them along with your dice, and they have symbols on them that they represent positive and negative outcomes in addition to your normal roll, right? So, for example, she's got an advantage down here. She could ostensibly not only succeed, but succeed with a little bit of extra upside. And then, likewise, the challenge dice give you drawbacks, like, oh, something went wrong along the way. All right, so go ahead and give me a roll there, Caitlin.
I succeed with advantage.
All right.
I succeed a lot in case it matters.
I see. You
Yeah.
succeed a lot. Okay, so
Seems more like a close call.
you're playing the fool up here.
All right. Well, you did lie to
Wait.
I did lie to someone, yeah.
You're playing the fool up here in the front, and like those 2 guards are kind of approaching from a distance where they're doing their patrols, but the 2 that are on the gate, immediately one of them is just like, no, don't worry about it, and these 2 kind of move off, look like they're going on the patrol around the back side of the house. Looks like they basically were waved off so that they are no longer like paying attention to the front area, which is good. Like that basically you've removed them as a possible
nice.
distraction.
Okay.
However,
So
the
we have
2 that are
smooth
on the
sailing
front
now.
begin to interrogate you, and they're like, do you have an invitation? You get the impression that someone showing up unannounced is exactly the kind of thing that they are warned against by their boss. Like they are clearly sort of afraid for their own jobs/livelihoods just by having you here at the gate. And you're actually going to take 8 damage as under the scrutiny that they are applying to you. You sort of start to sweat as you're like, oh man, this might be tougher than I thought.
It's not good for my hair, guys. Not good.
Now, damage may be worth going
Yeah.
into that.
Yeah.
Damage is super abstract here,
Yep.
right?
So you guys have luck, which is sort of a hit point like resource, right? Luck represents your resolve. It represents your luck, right? Your good fortune. It also can kind of represent your stamina, etc. It's a catch-all for all these things that allow you to keep going.
Wear
right?
you down.
Yeah,
Where you-
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
okay.
When you take damage, you lose luck. when you run out of luck. If you are attacked physically, that's when you start taking wounds. If you are out of luck and you're attacked like mentally, like she just was, that can sort of drive you out of a scene, basically, right? So
Okay.
like you sort of lose your resolve to continue going and have to go
I dig it.
and take a breather, right?
Nice.
Okay, so you took 8 damage, but now you have the opportunity to counter their scrutiny in some way.
Okay. Well, surely I'm Gwendolyn. You've not heard of me?
So you're trying to basically play up the, don't you know who I am card.
I'm about to
Embarrass
do
them.
some magic tricks, okay?
Some magic tricks.
Some magic tricks.
Okay.
I'm going to be as distracting as possible.
Okay, so are you using your deck of cards that you have?
Yeah, I am.
So you're basically flourishing your cards. Haven't you heard of me?
Yeah,
Okay.
so like I want to throw my cards in the air. Actually, no. We're going to do this. Guard. Pick a card.
His name is actually Stephen Guard.
Stephen
so-
Guard, pick
yeah.
a card.
All right, so you're trying to distract him with card tricks while he is.
This is going to be really exciting.
Okay. All right, so I'm going to say you're going to make a roll to distract someone.
Okay.
I'm going to give you an advantage die just because how ridiculous this is. I'm also going to give you a challenge die though because
Okay.
these guys are paid security guards and they're not used to or they're sort of trained against distraction like that.
I understand that. Constant vigilance. All right. So I succeed with
Nice
no
roll.
disadvantages or advantages.
Okay, great. All right, so the guard, he's sort of like
Stephen Guard.
Yeah, Stephen Guard. He sort of is like, oh, okay, and he reaches to take a card and pulls it out. The other security guard's standing there like, what are you doing, man? Like, you're on duty. Stop playing with this deck of cards. But you've got the one guy like sort of fully distracted, and the other guard like he looks dumbfounded and he smacks the card out of the one guard's hand, and he's like, hey, we can't be playing around with this lady. You have to get out of here, otherwise we're calling the city watch right now.
Okay.
You're not that scared by this threat. You
Okay.
know that this guy, like, if he calls the city watch, it's going to be a much bigger deal than.
Are you guys ready
Yep.
for this? Okay. I am going to toss my cards in the air and throw down like a sparkler. It's a bright flash.
Do you have a sparkler or bright flash?
I always have them.
Do you?
Say-
I do.
Okay.
I use them for performing.
Okay.
Okay.
That's reasonable.
It's
That
a
checks
bomb.
Yeah.
out.
And I'm going to snatch
Okay.
a card out of the air. Stephen Guard, is this your card?
Stephen Guard, is this your card? Is now going in the game somewhere. All right. I don't know where. It's going to be a quote somewhere.
It is. It's delightful on multiple levels.
All right. Go ahead and give me the roll. Yeah. No advantage challenge this time around.
Okay.
Just straight up
Okay.
roll.
I have Stephen thoroughly enthralled, my friends. I succeed.
All right, great. All right, so like the
Well
the
done.
one guard slaps the card out of Stephen Guard's hand, and he turns around and he's like, "Hey, like she's harmless. Don't worry about it. This lady's just drunk, and besides, I love magic. It's great." So yeah, you basically with the two of these guys, they're not gonna call the city watch on you, but you have them fully distracted. So the rest of you kind of watch as she is doing this whole thing up in the front, and you notice like this the
When
security guards
when she
are
throws a smoke bomb, I go like this.
it's just like a really little stage smoke
Yeah,
bomb.
no,
you know,
no.
like, you
But
know the
still,
things you throw down
in
at
the
the
midst
4th
of
of
our
July?
popper.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In the midst of our casing of the joint with like small pyrotechnics, I'm like, oh god.
All right, so she's managed to take care of this main obstacle. You, on the other hand, you want to go in on the grounds as well?
Yes.
Okay.
So it sounds like probably, aside from the gate, which Gwen is in front of, our option is the wall.
That
To-
is
to-
one
to-
option. Now,
to
you
scale the
are a
wall.
thief, right?
Yes.
Now, you have a special ability called second story work there.
Correct.
For the sake of our audience, why don't you read that
All right,
ability?
So second story work says you can find a way into any building in the city. You can enter any building without being seen or heard by way of any floor you choose in a manner in which you describe. You automatically succeed without rolling dice on any check you would like to make to pick locks, climb, jump, tumble, or sneak around to do so, based on your description. Once inside the building, the judge may require you to make rolls to remain undetected. So that's all well and good for Dante.
That is all well and good. So if you wanted to go in by yourself, you could use that. If you wanted to take someone else with you, however, you would need to work together. And
I'm
you
comfortable
know.
being around to beat people up if needed. I don't think I'm going in that building with you though. I don't feel like that aids. Well, okay, actually no. To talk that through, to workshop that a little bit.
let's workshop this one,
To
Lane.
workshop that a little bit, my sorcery is specific about affecting, like, impairing people's mental ability and affecting their emotions and how they think about things. That's
Right.
potentially interesting.
He has sneak
I don't know
around.
if there's,
He's got sneak
I
around.
can play that these aren't the droids you're looking
But
for
you're not gonna be
card
able
in
to hop
some
right up to the
flavor,
second
shape, or
story
form.
with him.
Right.
He can still case the joint.
Yeah,
outside.
I think
Okay.
maybe we have everybody sort of circle from the outside,
Okay.
and
All right.
I am the only one that's going to go
That
in.
actually goes in. Okay, that's cool. All right. So, yeah. So basically, what's going to happen is you've taken care of this obstacle. You're going in to get the lay of the land on the inside of the building, and these guys are going to keep going around the outer perimeter to get the layout of the outbuildings and stuff like that.
Yes.
Okay, that sounds
So
good.
I'll head basically to the main house.
Okay, cool.
guess.
So you're going to go ahead, or do you want to go ahead and use your second story work ability now?
Yeah, let's do
okay,
that.
Great. So why don't you tell me what it looks like when you go sneak into the building?
All right. As the snap, crackle, and pop is going off of Gwen's little performance, I'm going to,
Yeah.
keeping to the shadows as best I can, just sort of scramble up the wall over a place where the little ironworks at the top don't look so dangerous, and back down, dropping silently into the yard.
Okay. Yep.
Glance around quickly. I'm going to make sure, there's no... See if I immediately see any interior patrols. But even then, I'm pretty confident in my abilities to
Yeah.
stick to the shadows.
And she's
so
done a good job of distracting the guards for you, so you have no difficulty sneaking
right.
past them.
So I'll make my way quickly up to what I assume is the primary residence,
Yep,
and
there's
where
a main mansion.
Yep,
yeah.
where this event's going to take place. And I assume, I'm assuming there's going to be some sort of parlor that this is going to take place in, and likely it's on the ground floor.
Okay.
So I will do a quick circle of the residence to sort of see if anything pops out at me as a good place to enter that would put me as close to the destination I want
Okay.
as I can without
sure.
having to go through the house too
Yeah,
much.
you absolutely find something like that. What is it?
All right, so so as I get around the back of the house, there's sort of a main large enclosed porch area off of that, and then and it's already set up, so it's kind of there's clearly going to be some festivities here of some sort, and that's going to be my assumption. So I pull out my little kit and I jimmy a window, slide it up as quickly as I can, or as quietly as I can, rather. I'm not in too huge of a rush,
Right.
actually.
The magic show goes on for hours.
Sure.
You have time. You
It's
have
a
time.
lengthy spectacle.
Oh my God! All the lights in the house have just come on. I'm like, what is
caught.
she doing?
I give up.
Way too much, too much. And I will slip into the interior of the
Okay.
house.
Okay. It's dark. There's not a lot of lights on here. I mean,
Okay.
it's well into the night here. And even though nobles can afford lamp oil and stuff like
Sure.
that, it looks like the sort of vague sense you get is that it's not a super densely occupied mansion. Like, it's almost like, you walk in and it's too quiet. Like, you would expect to hear more servants or conversations or whatever, but it's like it's kind of half empty.
Okay. So I... Man, I should have got some of those little poppers from you. It'd be fun to just plant some.
Right.
No. So the first thing I'll do is going from this sort of porch, I want to slip into the main house and begin casing for
Okay.
where this painting is. Why
Okay.
would I not
Yeah.
just steal the painting tonight?
Good question. If you're there, if you're inside,
If
It-
you're there and you can get to, I suspect it might be rigged though.
Okay.
But you do what feels right.
but that won't
The thing
change
is that it's going to
for
be
tomorrow.
quickly
It'll still be
discovered.
Yeah.
I'm going to slip into the main house and begin casing upstairs.
Okay. That's fine.
So
your goal was to
Like
get
hell.
the layout of the place,
yeah,
right?
so I'm gonna begin
why don't
creeping
go ahead-
around.
Yeah, why don't you go ahead and give me a roll to case the joint?
Okay.
I'm going to give you an advantage die just because you've also got your companions watching from the outside as well. So this is going to help. I'm also going to give you a second advantage die because you're on the inside and no one suspects that you're there
What's the difference
right
here?
The black are disadvantage.
Okay.
Blacker
Wait.
challenge, yeah.
I have a question about appraise something.
Yeah.
If he does find the painting and he uses appraise something, will he be able to distinguish if it's rigged or if it has any type of alchemical treatment?
Yeah.
Okay. So if you find it, you definitely want to appraise it.
Okay.
All right, so go ahead and make that roll for me.
All right. So it looks
Oh.
like I have failed it with advantage.
So what is your roll?
98.
Oh, 98 with a boon, though. Okay. So
You
there's a
failed it,
mechanic.
but very well.
There's a mechanic in the game called pushing your luck. And
Okay.
the way pushing your luck works is if you fail a roll, you can spend luck in increments of 10 to increase your chance of success on that skill up to the point where you would succeed. So what's your chance of success on casing the joint?
I would need to spend 10
Okay.
because it's 80.
Okay. Yep. So you'd actually spend 20 because you rolled
You
a
need to spend
98,
20,
right?
yeah.
88, no.
Oh,
Yeah.
right.
So you could spend
Math.
20. So you could spend 20 luck. You also roll a challenge die for every 10 luck that you spend. So you would spend 20, roll 2 challenge dice, but that would get you the success on that roll. Now, boons and drawbacks cancel each other out, so you do have 1 boon there, which makes it a little safer proposition.
I feel like success is.
All right, let's do it. So I drop down to 80. 2 of these guys.
Yep.
One for each.
Nice.
Yes.
There you go.
All right.
All right. So, so
numerically
you
improbable.
I
that is a face moment. It's like, oh.
yeah, I like catch the base, walking through, turn around, knock it over, like.
Yeah. So actually, as you're casing the interior,
a
you're coming
ceramic
across a
earthy
lot
ring.
of like locked doors and rooms that are sealed off, and it's really starting to stymie you. And like you almost feel like maybe you're not going to be able to get the layout of the place because so much is shut off from the rest. But you finally are like you come across a door, it's locked, and you just sort of like lean up against it, and all of a sudden it pushes open, and you realize that these doors haven't all just been locked; they've been like barricaded from the other side with like furniture and stuff like that. And you
Oh,
get inside and you realize it's like all dusty. There's dust coverings all over everything. A huge chunk of this mansion is completely unoccupied, right? And unoccupied in a way that like everything has just been sort of left to grow dust covered. And you also are coming across a lot of renovations in process, or that look like they've been in process for a really long time,
And abandoned.
or like picked up periodically because like you see like scaffolding that's got a bunch of dust on it, and then other scaffolding that's got just kind of a little bit of dust on it in the same room. So obviously Lord Cinder has been having a lot of renovations done over the years, but has not managed to complete them all, and also it's weirdly unoccupied in here. But you do manage to achieve your goal. You also, excuse me, you also discover that there is a gaming parlor that is on the first floor, as you suspected. That
Nice.
was obviously where this thing is going to take place.
Okay.
The study, you are pretty sure you know where it is. You don't necessarily get into the study.
Sure.
Because when you get upstairs, you discover one more thing of great import, and that is the area leading into what you assume are like the private chambers of Lord Cinder, and then his study sort of off that main room. There's a guard on duty that is not someone that you're interested in tangling with right away necessarily.
Okay.
He is a very tall looking man in like full plate armor, which is extremely unusual. Like soldiers wear plate armor, but in the city, like almost nobody does, right? And like at first, you're like, wow, that's weird. Who would
put an armor in their hallway?
Yeah, who would
Just
put like a
and then,
suit
like,
in their hallway?
and it
He's
coughs.
standing super rigidly still, and he's got this great sword like clasped in front of him. And it looks decorative at first until he kind of like shifts a little bit, or like there's a noise down the hall, and it like turns and looks back, but just sort of standing there. Absolutely huge, like 7.5 feet tall, broad-shouldered, looks absolutely massive, and looks like a crusher with that sword, right? And so you're like, okay, that's the study right there. That's his rooms over there. But getting in, like, this guy is on duty. You also notice that there is light coming out from under the door up to the study as well. Outside, you guys are sort of poking around. You discovered that, like the inside, most of the estate is abandoned. Looks like no one's lived here forever. Tons of things under renovations. You also know about sorcery, don't you?
Indeed, I do.
Ah, interesting. So, as you're looking around the outbuildings, you can see that some buildings have been torn down, others have been moved, and there's something kind of tickling the back of your mind about the renovations that are taking place in the exterior. And then it kind of hits you. The buildings look like they're being reconfigured and moved around to form a pattern that looks like sorceress symbology that you've seen in like old occult tomes back in the Vladov Empire.
Say that last part again. There's lots of noise back there.
Oh yeah, sorry. So
From pattern.
Yeah, right. So the pattern of buildings that are laid out and like the renovations that are taking place, it looks a lot like the symbology that you've seen in occult tomes about ancient Vladic sorcery.
Oh, red flag. Deeper things are afoot here.
Intriguing.
All right.
Okay.
All right. So successful scene. You got your interior layouts. You basically have full knowledge of the interior of the building. So if you have a question about something, then I'll just tell you that information.
All right.
Yeah. All right. So that was actually just your legwork scene. So who's next?
I also have high aptitude for casing the joint. I think that what I want to do is I want to look at the outside of the area or outside of the manor to get an idea of how we would potentially get out the fastest and escape the fastest.
Okay. Yeah. So it sounds like what you're looking for is an escape route here, right?
Exactly.
Okay. Cool.
Exactly.
All right. So tell me a little bit more about what you're going to be doing to find that escape route.
So doors that can lead out to provide a quick escape outside of the walls of the manor.
Okay.
Ground level windows that we can get out of. Potentially looking at 2 or 3 different options to escape quickly.
Okay.
With lots of hiding areas, with potentially some, spots where if we are being pursued, we can duck and hide for a few minutes.
Okay.
We can easily distract would-be followers
With magic.
with
Okay.
magic. We can divide.
Okay.
We can divide quickly potentially and kind of split the difference.
Okay. That seems good. All right. So what I think I want, I'm going to say that because you guys all kind of went together already, you're already on the premises, and she's already done a distraction. So
Yeah.
I'm not going to say there's any additional obstacles. What I am going to say is that you're going to be making a roll to case the joint, just like you did, or like he did before. This time you're specifically looking for something else. Let's see here. So for you and you, Lane, are you guys sticking around while he does this casing, or are you going to sort of fade away?
I think I need to fade away. This is not my skill
All right,
set
yeah.
at all
So
whatsoever.
basically, sorry, for the last scene,
heat.
that was what went into the pool for the last scene. The previous
Is the caching? Just side note here: is the caching or the building up during the scene and then caching at the end of the scene? Is that a newer mechanic? Does that come in?
No, it's just I made it over at this time.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. All right.
One thing I'd like to point out,
Yeah.
I do have a door or window propped open for you by a member of your cartel. I think I want to be able to utilize that in the future
Okay.
so that when we do execute the plan, that we have some people on the inside that will help us by not just distracting would-be authorities, but also kind of making sure our path is as open as possible.
So that's the kind of thing that you would be spending influence on. So you already spent your 1 influence to get the information.
Yeah.
That's something you could spend your cartel or your crew
If
influence on
if
later.
we get there
you
in
want to.
planning tomorrow,
Yeah,
and it
yeah,
makes
that's
sense.
tomorrow.
then-
That's for tomorrow.
yeah,
but I'm
that-
saying those
yeah.
are the kind of things I'm looking for. It's
Tot-
like,
totally,
okay,
yeah.
these are the.
Okay,
I want
makes
these
perfect
open.
sense.
Okay.
I'm just actually going to go ahead and have you give me a roll to case the joint because you're already on the grounds, right? Like you
Okay.
don't need to do anything else. Are you two heading out early, or are you sticking around?
I'm gonna save my farewells to Stephen Guard and
Steven Guard, is this your card?
kind of moonwalk out of the scene.
Were you here
Okay.
for
Is that one guy? Is that one guy named Stephen Guard?
Yeah.
Or
Oh, you left right during that.
I
She did a
did,
big magic
I-
trick, and she goes, "Steven Guard, is this your card?"
It was
and
amazing.
it was.
he must have been wowed.
Yeah,
I mean,
no,
that
he
is-
was
He's
was
like,
dazzled.
how do you even know my name? I'm a guard.
I also actually just realized something. So you are both a grifter, or so you were both have a merchant identity and served as a distraction, right? So your chameleon made it so that you didn't generate any heat. Your distraction meant they didn't generate any heat. I actually didn't add 4 heat to the heat pool. That is, you took care of all of that with
He
your
just
distraction.
dissipated the heat.
Yes.
Wonderful.
However, if you're leaving early, that's going to leave him here. And
I'll stay.
Okay.
That's fine. I have more tricks, Stephen.
All right.
You thought there was but one, but nay, more.
but nay. Yeah. Okay, great. So go ahead and give me a roll to case the joint.
Sure.
I'm going to give you one challenge die here because
the challenge is
It's the black ones.
the black ones. Yep. One challenge die here because the guards are still patrolling the area and you're kind of sneaking around and you're a little bit conspicuous normally in this area. So go ahead and give me that roll.
Conceal an object. Can I conceal myself?
You're not an
Tuck
object, I'm
yourself
afraid.
right in your
Hide
pocket.
the object. Okay, come on. Yep, 68. Good to go.
Okay. Well, you
But-
did get a drawback,
but
right?
with a drawback.
Okay. So, here's what I'm going to say. You succeed, and you're kind of looking around for an exit route, and you get around kind of the back of the estate, and you realize there's a small canal that runs all the way up to the building. This is a pretty common thing for nobles, especially really influential, powerful nobles, to have a private canal access from their home. It runs all the way up into the building, and it looks like there's a loading dock area inside the building
Escape through
somewhere.
the sewers.
So basically, yeah, you could go from the interior of the building straight to this private canal entrance that goes all the way out to the city's canals.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. So yeah, that seems like your best opportunity for an escape route, and you've managed to identify that.
There's that.
All right. So who else? Who's next? There's Lane and Caitlin.
I have a quick question.
Okay.
So one of my spending influences is secure an invitation to an exclusive social event by exploiting my fame and reputation. I don't suppose I could do said exploiting, or is that too easy?
No, I think that actually is totally legit for you to spend your influence and combine it with your identity that you've got. Sure. If you want to get an invitation to the game, you could spend your influence to do that.
Stephen Guard's going to pull some strings. He's
I
like, no,
mean,
she's good, guys.
Yeah.
She's good.
I made an impression with Steven. Okay. I still want to go talk to Mandrake to see if we can get in that way, maybe save an influence or get you guys in if we need to. But I can. Do you want to go first for your legwork scene?
Actually, I think I want to find out if Alexei Dragov is either he's somebody to blackmail or he's somebody to try and convince to go in with our backing, basically. Because if I can get some artifact that's somewhat priceless, as though there's a range, a priceless-ish artifact, and use that as backing because I want to come in as basically a patron for that. I think that might be interesting because the artifact is something that I think an art collector could find interesting, or blackmail him, depending on what I find out about Alexei. Those are the two things I think are potentially interesting.
Or you could slip him a fake artifact that is alchemically treated that we could use it as a distraction.
I feel like we're veering into planning phase.
We are. I'm sorry. I'm
area
sorry.
here,
It's my
so,
fault. It's my fault.
Someone take the lead on the legwork scene.
You go first.
Me? Okay. I am going to go speak with Mandrake, whose last name I don't know.
Okay. So your goal here is to. Sorry, let me get my paperwork in order here.
Who wants to go with me?
So
I
your
will.
goal here is to go talk to Mandrake Riverford, and what are you hoping to get out of the scene?
So I am going to go in my finest kind of Montley, and I'm going to let Mandrake know that he has been selected by my troupe to allow us to perform for him at an upcoming social event, and we would like to go with him.
All right, tell me where you're going to do
To
this.
show his wealth.
I feel like my presence here would just bring
Well-
heat.
Exactly. And you brought this one? I'll be there for sure.
Okay.
I don't really.
So
fit
where
in
you,
with
where are
that
you
either.
going?
Mandrake is old money,
Yeah, he
so
He's still a merchant, right? But it's old money.
does he run a shop currently?
No, he basically makes all his money off investing, effectively.
Okay, so he's probably just at his manor, being old money. Okay, presumably I guess I find him at his home.
Okay. So you're going to his home
Yeah,
in a merchant district, obviously.
yeah.
Okay. And you're going as yourself? As Gwen?
I'm going. That's a great question. I'm really glad you asked,
Thank
Rodney.
you.
I am going as Bianca, the leader of this troop. And then let me make a note of that name.
All right.
Important.
personalities
Always
there.
good to keep the cover name straight.
Yeah.
I'm Caitlin. I mean Gwen. I mean.
All right.
Bianca.
So you're going to go to his house, and you're going to convince him that he has won a chance to have a troupe perform at a social event he's attending.
We have noticed that he's kind of a big deal.
Okay. All right.
This is real thin, guys.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I would say the one obstacle you're going to have is getting past his manservant to get the appointment to talk to him at all, right? So either you're going to have to talk your way past his manservant, which will introduce challenge dice on your interactions here, or
I'd also like to introduce a sub goal here,
Okay.
which is gossip with nobles. So if I'm unable to secure an invitation for myself and crew with him, I'd just like to gather information about this event from him.
he is not a noble; he is a merchant.
Oh, blast! Okay.
Blast.
All right, let's do this. I'm
Okay.
ready.
Okay, so you're going in to talk to Mandrake Riverford. She's gonna have to talk her way past the manservant, unless one of you guys goes along and does that for her.
I'm pretty good at convince someone.
Okay.
Okay. With your fist.
What's that?
I said with your fist.
No, actually, I'm as good at convincing people as I am at beating them up.
Oh, that's good for you. Okay.
I give them an option.
It's
Beating up at
because
second
he's
resort.
so good at beating people
Right.
up that he's so good at convincing people.
Okay, sweet. I also want to make a note. I have brought fine wine with me,
Uh-huh.
like a bottle of fine
Okay.
wine, and I also have my playing cards because I don't go anywhere
No,
without them.
of course you don't.
No.
Right. All right. So
Does each cover have their own deck, or is it all the same deck?
Well, if I were to open my jacket for you, there are many different decks to choose
Okay.
from, and they're all like rigged a little differently for the trick I'm trying to play.
Yeah.
And then on the other side, I have like loaded dice.
One for every occasion.
all right. So Vitali,
Who's the
while
audience?
you are you are going along with her, right?
Yeah.
But you're conspicuous in merchant districts, right?
Yes, but I'll be conspicuous. So I'm going to choose to be conspicuous as we're representing a mummers troupe at this point. I'm going to be bombastic and large. I'm going to own the conspicuousness.
This is my
I guess.
strongman.
Yeah, and I assume that you're not in the guise of a noble, so that is going to be two being conspicuous. Being conspicuous is a noun now, by the way.
Conspicuous
Yeah.
eye.
That's how words work. I'm a writer. Okay, so so she needs to get past this manservant. You're going to take care of that. Why don't you tell me a little bit about how you're doing that?
Sir, if I may direct your attention to
You
the
go out
lovely.
to his house, and basically he lives in like a townhouse. It's like 3 stories tall. There's stairs going up to it, like a brownstone in New York.
yeah.
basically, right?
So I've got him at the front door.
Yeah, and like this manservant's here at the front door, and the two of you, like she's in her motley, and the manservant is like opening the door, and he's looking down his nose at you. It's like, yeah.
Yes, so that is, sir, if I may direct your attention to the lovely woman behind me, we represent, what's the name of the troupe?
The bombastic mummers.
The Bombastic Mummers, and your master has been chosen to receive a uniquely singular offer today.
All right, so you're basically trying to charm this guy.
I'm convincing him that we need to be let
Okay.
into the building to
All
talk
right. Flex a
to.
little.
39.
Okay, I am going to get you to roll 1 challenge die on that as well. Just
Nay.
smash it.
Yes.
All right, good. Okay, so you present your case. You're like, yes,
And
he's
I'll
talking to
end
the
bow.
master.
I'll end like full flourish bow, pointing back at her.
And he sort of nods, and he says, like, yes, come in, please. You're let in and introduced to Mandrake Riverford, he's sort of an old man with like a fringe of gray hair and a bald head, overweight. He's wearing a bathrobe, right? And he's just sort of sitting, at the table eating as you guys approach. Tell me a little bit about how you're going to try and convince him that this is a good idea to let you perform on his.
I introduce her like I'm her manservant.
Of
in the
course,
first place.
yes, absolutely.
So first, I'm gonna be very charming. It's kind of my thing, guys.
Let me be clear.
Let me be clear. The
C-A-M.
charm is
Charming and
lathered.
hard check.
See,
Yeah. And I'm gonna Riverford. Is that his last name?
Yes,
That just be
Riverford.
parenthetically
Alright.
in the rules, unless you're CAF, in which case.
Lord
yeah.
Riverford, you have been selected for a very unique opportunity by my troupe. We wish to perform for you at a party in front of guests to kind of salt the street, if you will, about how magnificent we are. And I'm gonna pull out my cards and kind of like flick them a little. Like, did I mention we do magic? It's pretty great.
Do you like fantasy?
Have you met Stephen Guard? Because he's quite taken with my
He
magic.
knows all about my magic.
we get high praise from Stephen Guard.
Yes, it's all over the reviews, right? Like,
My God,
magnificent
seal of
Stephen
approval.
I
Guard.
feel like there's just a scroll with like his picture on it, like Stephen God says.
Yeah.
It's great.
They're guard dang good.
The other guard's
It's
just behind
great.
him looking irritated.
All right, so why don't you give me a roll to convince someone? I'm going to say that you're going to have 2 challenge dice on this roll
Okay.
because this is a private party that he's been invited to, and that's really it's a really far-fetched to like bring along. Like, also, I brought along my troop of entertainers to our card game, right? So I'll give you two challenge dice.
Go, go,
Okay, I'm just, I want to pitch though, like during intermission when you all are eating, this would be great entertainment.
How real quick? How charming are you? We had this discussion beforehand. Should I ensorcel this man's mind?
Well, I haven't 80% convinced someone.
Okay.
But I do
He's
have
got
two disadvantage die.
I could add 4 more to that.
And
Yeah.
oh yeah. If I could be honest about me being charming, it's like mostly awkward charm. So I'm gonna give that a
then
go.
Then we're quite a pair.
Yeah. See how that works out for
All
me.
right, let's see it.
Ooh.
That's good. You succeed.
I succeed, but
Yeah.
I get 2 disadvantage.
Okay. All right. So your goal here was to convince him to allow you to send a Mummer's troop along, right? Okay. So Mandrake Riverford thinks about it for a long while, and he's like, "Yes, entertainment would be sorely missed at the dour, proceedings at Cinder Manor. Everything's always so glum and."
We wouldn't want that,
Dusty.
sir.
Yeah, it could spice things up, but Lord Cinder, he's a particular man. Doesn't like outsiders very much. Might take some convincing on my part, and boy, that sure seems like a lot of effort for free performance. I think if you'd like for me to help you out here, well, perhaps a little bit of quid pro quo.
What did you have in mind?
Money.
Money.
Just straight up cash. Give me them dollar bills. No,
What'd you think?
Gots to increase my paper stacks.
he would never be so crass as to out and out say money, but yeah, you get the impression that basically if you bribe him, he will do it.
Okay. I did bring with me this fine wine. Does that take your interest?
Yeah, wine doesn't deposit real well at
Totally.
at banks.
It was
so,
worth a
yeah.
try. Okay.
This wine is garbage then.
So here's what I can say: you can spend your influence for the bribe,
Okay.
and that will allow you to take a Mummer's troop along. But getting the troop is also another influence. So you'll basically be spending 2 influence on this task, on this thing.
Am I able to
How many do we have?
spend an influence to get the Mummer's
Influence?
troop, but to get at least
The
2
one
of
in
my
the center,
guys
and then we
into
each
the
have
Mummer's
one.
troop
Okay.
disguised? Is that going to be a problem?
Say that one more time.
So if I spend this influence for the bribe,
Yeah.
and I spend our group influence to get the Mummer's troop,
Yeah.
am I easily able to disguise 2 of my guys in the
Oh,
Mummer's troop?
your own crew?
Yeah.
Yeah, no problem.
Okay. Do we feel that's worth it before I just?
That gets you 3 in.
Yeah.
That's
Okay.
Yes.
I actually should also point out, by the way, that the legwork scene that was set up about sneaking in was, it's a bold plan. Like, you were sneaking in and dealing guards. Could have been some big repercussions.
It was
so
the
you
magic
actually
guys.
do have. Oh, actually,
That
that'll
did a
be
lot, no doubt.
yours specifically,
Okay.
because
Sweet.
that was your legwork scene.
All right. Yes, and I'll kind of like toss my purse
Okay.
on the table. I would still enjoy sharing this fine wine with you, sir.
Sure. He'll drink your wine at 10 o'clock in the morning. No, I'm kidding. It's
Look,
it's,
I don't-
it's actually
wealthy
it's nighttime.
financiers
I don't
enjoy
judge.
morning wine.
It's nighttime.
Okay.
It is. Yeah. Okay. Great. Yeah. You do it.
So
You got it.
I'd also still like to gossip with nobles while we drink.
He's not noble.
I forgot. Okay, never mind. I'm taking my wine.
So
We're
would
outta
he.
here.
Alright.
Gossip with merchants.
Yeah. You're good.
All right.
All right. So yeah, you got what you wanted out of him. He was willing to take your Mummer's troop along with him into this private gambling game.
For
right?
a small
Nice.
sum.
Yes. All
for
right. So
your
that only leaves
influence.
Lane to do a legwork
Okay.
scene.
I know what I would like to do as my legwork scene. I'm actually going to go back to Cousin Sergey, and I want to. It might be a 2-part legwork scene, which I'll ask you if that works out.
All right.
I want to find out what we know about Alexei Dragov,
Okay.
which is to say, is this a person we blackmail into doing something we want, or is this a person we bribe into doing something we want?
Okay.
So the very first place I'm going to go is the, I guess, illicit fighting den
Yeah.
that Sergey
The
manages.
Kumite.
Yes.
Uh,
Van Damme is there.
All right. So
Oh
why
my
don't you tell me a
gosh.
little bit about what's your ultimate goal here with this?
My goal is to find out whether or not it's worthwhile to to do one of those 2 things. It's worthwhile to bribe Alexei Dragov to be a asset to us in that game, willingly or knowingly or unknowingly, or to blackmail him into that.
Okay, yeah, so your ultimate goal is to get enough influence over Alexei Dragov to get what you want out of him.
And
Yeah.
Yeah,
Lexi
okay.
is noble.
He was a Vladov noble, but now he is a merchant.
Wow.
Yes.
You know,
When
there's
he-
too many
Do you
merchants.
lose
Yeah.
nobility at some point?
Well, so that
You're just a
empire,
noble
the
merchant, right?
empire he was a noble in collapsed.
One could
Okay.
Right,
argue
he fled
nobility's in your
to-
blood.
Yeah, right. Well, one could argue that, but
One would be wrong.
the nobles of New Dunhaven
But
disagree.
one will not argue that
Yeah.
this game.
Okay, so and you're basically going to your own contact here to try and get the information you need, and hopefully be able to reach out with your own influence to try and.
Yes.
Okay, great, cool. And so you're back at the fighting ring, and
Indeed.
it's late in the night by this point. Dawn is almost breaking. The crowd has
These
mostly
are my hours. I'm used to this.
the crowd has mostly dispersed, but there are still a few fights going on, and it's sort of late in the night, so the fights are not
These
exactly.
These are freelance fights.
Yeah,
these are,
these are not
these aren't on
exactly
the books.
These are the dregs of the fighters.
They're just
These are-
fights.
Yeah,
they're just
these are
fighting,
not
yeah.
the marquee brawls by any stretch, right?
Way down ticket.
Yeah, honestly, like this is the kind of thing that you're really just going to get information here, and you'd be spending influence anyway. So I'll just Sergey can just tell you.
Okay.
Yeah, you don't even need to roll for this, right? This is right in his wheelhouse. So he tells you that Alexei Dragov is he's basically one of the few powerful, wealthy Vladov people that did not ally themselves with the Circle in any way. So basically, he has actively chosen not to pursue a life of organized crime. All right, influencing him, he basically rejected the Circle's advances, and so influencing him is likely to be more a matter of intimidation or blackmail than it is like bribery or something like that. It can be done. He is of the Vladov descent, and people could pull something like that off, but you'd be basically spending your influence to do so. It's also risky because he's not a direct ally of your cartel.
That makes that less attractive.
Yeah. All right, so you know what you need to do to get influence over him. Basically, you got to find a way to browbeat or blackmail or some clash with him effectively, right?
Okay. I actually like the idea briefly proffered earlier, wherein we give him a priceless artifact that is in fact a plant that we're going to use to cause distraction later on, because we can't have time to do that after I blackmail him, but before we go to the place.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Could, unbeknownst to him, because this is something that we may have wanted to do instead of doing this.
Go ahead.
Could we figure out a way for that artifact to be somehow related or opposed to the sorceress weirdness that's going on at that estate with
With blood
the
puddle?
configuration? Something that's really going to catch his
Yeah.
attention.
That's right. Blood
Right,
puddle,
like-
the hidden, the forgotten element.
So if there's
Actually, you know what? Actually,
Something that's gonna
let's-
cause
let's-
havoc.
Let's tap on the sorceress configuration thing.
Okay.
Because now that I know that he's not necessarily an interesting resource, or it doesn't sound like he sounds like he'd be a harder resource to use than not. Where would I go? So knowing the shape of the sorceress reconfiguration of the buildings there, where would I go to find out more information on that occult symbology?
You just know it.
What
do you
want
to know?
What is it?
What do you want to know?
What would the type of symbol being reconfigured be used for?
Is it
What's the
sort of,
significance?
to bring something into this dimension, this realm?
Yeah.
Is it
I mean, it can be used for a lot of different things, and it's also a little bit obscure. But you get the impression it's sort of like a something you'd use to channel dark magic power into like the central location. So like it's like he's creating a funnel, right? A funnel for
We're
sorcerer's
in
power.
Ghostbusters 2.
Yep.
Shit.
Well, Ghostbusters 1 too. Right? Also Ghostbusters 1. but yeah.
We're going to pull a guy out of a painting.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh no. Oh no.
We are being drawn into something much larger than some painting.
Yeah, you just know that it's about funneling dark magic power towards the house at the center.
You know what? I'm actually not going to lie to everyone here. I don't have a lot of insights into stuff I can do to advance what we're trying to do here. I think we have a lot to work on. I don't have an interesting way, I think, to spend this right now.
Could you spend
That's
that
fine.
to get information about Blood Puddle?
You don't have to spin it right now.
You also don't have to do that.
Yeah.
I'm going to wait till the next planning because I want to do some thinking,
All right.
actually.
So you've gotten a bunch of information here. So at this point, that's the last legwork scene in the nighttime. So now we're going into daytime. Now, you've got daytime, and then at night is when the meeting and the card game are going to happen. So basically, this is your last chance to either plan more or do things going into the nighttime segment. You are going to get another crew influence at the start of this if you take a planning scene. So basically, like, you take a planning scene, you tell me where it's going to be, I'm going to give you another crew influence. So you've got a fair amount of influence. If you want to take a planning scene, you just be spending influence to get things done kind of behind the scenes. If you want to go actually do more legwork, though, this is your last chance to do it. So it's up to you guys. You want to take a planning scene, or do you want
We
to?
need more. My opinion is we need more planning because we don't really know what the hell we're gonna do once
Yeah,
this all shakes out.
I'm
We can-
concerned about Blood Puddle. I
Yeah.
feel
Well,
like
but
something.
I feel like in a planning scene, this can turn into knowing more information, like
Yeah.
you
Okay,
spending
that's
influence
fair.
and finding out more about Blood Puddle. Because right now, I think the things I want to do feel like planning stage things to me, where we're spending influence to have our contacts tell us about her,
Okay.
for example.
But are there results in legwork? I mean, if let's say, for example, my network of urchins and everything, I could probably find out, especially since I've been triggered with Blood Puddle. I've heard her name before. The legwork part of this, do I get any more information before our planning scene?
Sorry, you mean like if you spin the influence, or if you just go do a
I
thing?
have no more influence right
Yeah.
now.
Okay.
but-
So without your own personal influence to spend, you wouldn't be able to do those things like during a planning scene.
Okay.
And then legwork, like you guys either do planning or you do legwork. There's no like halfway
No.
between the two, right?
Okay.
So
I have a quick question. Am I going to need to create disguises for our troop, or when I spend that influence,
it's all included.
taken care
Yep,
of?
all
Okay,
included,
perfect.
Yep. So it sounds like you guys want to do another planning scene. All right. Why don't you guys tell me where this planning scene takes place? The last one you kind of did in the fighting den. Where do you guys go? And sort of think of it like in the heist movie where you got all your like plans laid out. You snuck in and were able to see the interior, so you've like drawn up some plans and everything.
I
Where-
have the
where do you
family
guys-
estate, which is a circle safe house.
Okay.
Yeah,
I
well,
have many, many dark spaces we can.
it's daytime anywhere
collective
where I
do.
won't bring
Yeah.
heat.
Right. Exactly.
So the reserve.
Exactly.
No, like
forest. In the
if
main
you've if
circle.
you've got a safe house to do this in, it's fine. Like you don't
Yeah.
generate any heat.
I mean, I feel like the circle safe house might be the way
Okay,
to go.
sounds good. I would also like to point out that the scene that when you went to the guy's estate, you did generate a little bit more heat.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's
All right.
Oh.
So there is 8
5
heat.
heats.
There's 8 heat in the pool right now. Plus, we're going to start a new scene or a new segment, so it automatically generates 4 more heat. So we're going to go up to 12. So there's 12 heat in the heat pool right now. You are
seems
at
hot. It
you're
seems hot,
at
I
your
won't lie.
ancestral estate, right?
Now, when it comes to spending influence,
Yep.
my personal influence can only be. I can't share this influence.
That is correct.
correct?
That is
Okay.
correct. The one of the specialties is the fixer, and the fixer has a special ability to let people share influence between themselves, right? Okay, so because you're starting a new planning scene in a new location, you do get 1 more crew influence. So
Okay.
some of you have some individual influence left. There's 2 crew influence out there. So
Some of
this
us
is
don't.
pretty much going to be your last chance to spend that influence. So don't hoard it.
Right. My uses of influence are really about getting people in and out of the city, accessing the reserves, and or having a few people nearby and or some supplies nearby for when we do our thing. And I don't know if we particularly need any of that for this setup.
So.
All right, so it sounds like you guys are starting your planning.
Yeah,
I'm going to go ahead and
let's
start
start.
the
I think
timer.
we are.
So first things first, we're gonna spend this influence to form the troop for next time,
Okay.
right? Let's
And-
just get that out of the way because we know we're
Yep.
doing it. And I
Yep.
don't
So
wanna
we are
forget.
definitely entering the complex as a group of mummers.
Everyone
Some of you.
except
Except
for,
Except for me.
Except
So
for
I
Dante.
think this is interestingly spent by way of me plying my sorceress academic circles to find out if anybody knows anything about a woman like Sophia Bloodpuddle or Sophia Bloodpuddle in particular. What sorts of things she's into, because I really that feels like the biggest missing piece of information here to us.
Yeah.
Given that we know that there's a sorceress funnel drawing dark energies onto the estate, and once every full moon this woman shows up, That seems ominous.
It's a little worrisome.
No, that is normal.
Okay, so, but we won't get that information till.
No, you get it right now.
Okay, let's get it right now.
So I'm
All right.
Uh,
Sounds good. So tell
My
me exactly
peers.
what you're doing.
I want to know
When you spend
who
this influence.
Sophia Bloodpuddle is,
Okay.
and if she is a sorceress,
Okay.
and what her specialty is, if
Okay.
so.
And how are you getting this information?
I am sure that I have other sorceress peers.
Other magi.
Other magi
People who
that
do real magic?
Perfect.
talk
Not
shop with,
imitators.
for lack of a better
Sure,
term, right
yeah.
now.
So you just to describe it here. So you basically go out into the city. It's daytime right now, so around dawn, you're in an occult bookstore basically, and there's another Vladov person behind the desk. or
Here's
something.
actually a question.
Yeah.
Is this rare enough that there's not a place where we know that we can go and get a Magi's bar, for
That
a
is
dumb
correct.
way to put it?
That is correct. It is too rare for that. Yeah.
Okay.
You're basically.
But I know of other people that practice.
There are other magi among the the circle. So yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
Colt Book. Okay, so get back to saying Colt Bookstore sounds like a good place to go
Yeah,
and meet
and-
those
and
type
like
of people.
Read
The
this real
front
quick?
is basically it's like a new agey bookstore basically,
Right.
but there's actually
We have a couple quartz crystals out front for the
right,
gawkers.
Exactly.
I
Yeah.
meant the other one.
We
so,
laugh when they buy them.
Yeah, so the lady that you're working with there behind the counter, she tells you the following information. One, she knows exactly who Sophia Bloodpuddle is. She's had run-ins with her before. Sophia Bloodpuddle is a notorious con artist. She's not a member of any cartel, but she runs small-time cons, wheedling money out of people, and most people know that she's a con artist and are wary of her. That's sort of her front, right? The actual truth is that Sophia Bloodpuddle is also a member of the Cult of 1,000 Eyes. They are a cult that basically plan to overthrow the Regency and the crown as a whole and replace it with a sorceress magocracy.
A magocracy.
Indeed. They are super evil, right? They are ruthless. They have infiltrated all levels of society.
Well, to be fair, they might have some good ideas.
Well, let's not get on that right. Let's not get topical,
Only you
okay?
stand to benefit from this.
But so the cult they've infiltrated all levels of society, and you know that their aims are almost always sinister, and because sorcery is sort of dark and occasionally bloody, the means of overthrowing a government are likely to not be very pleasant. You also find out one other piece of information about Sophia Bloodpuddle. She has a severe addiction to poppy smoke and needs
Okay.
a fix every few days.
Oh. Okay.
What does that mean?
Well, I mean,
Share with us your realization.
I mean that means that somewhere there's a dealer that could be leveraged. Like
If we have more time.
If we have time, yeah.
Yeah.
This is happening tonight.
So, what if you spend your influence to get some type of distraction brought in that we can smuggle into the manor with us and plant somewhere, like a timed explosion or something?
Yeah, I didn't know. So that was going to be my question: does that sort of thing exist in the setting?
There's gunpowder
right?
in the
Okay.
setting, right? It's the gunpowder is is typically the domain of the Red Lotus Society. It's another cartel. So to get that, I would say you'd be going to another cartel. So that'd probably cost 2 influence to be able to pull
Yes.
that off, right? Normally, your cartel gives you some things, and then if you're going to go to another cartel, that's a bit more of a stretch, right? But yeah, you can spend 2 influence to get effectively a timed explosive.
All right.
It's
So-
like a slow fuse or something.
Yep, that's not a problem. So yeah, I'll have them just
Well, let's run through the plan real quick
yeah.
before we spend influence to figure out if we like what we're doing. So I'm going to get the 3 of us in with the Mummers group. I don't know how tightly they're going to keep us in the room. I assume fairly tightly because they don't want people wandering this manor. Plus, we have the armored guy that we still have to deal with, right?
So my thought,
And all eyes are upon
my
us while
thoughts
we're
are, and so
performing.
from casing the joint, I'm gonna assume because he's such a recluse that the windows are pretty. You can't just look in them from the outside.
Yeah, the curtains are drawn, right?
Okay,
And in
'cause
fact,
I'm-
when you were trying to find your way in, it took you a while to find a window.
I'm almost wondering.
You had a
even
window
look
prop,
at.
though, didn't you?
Yeah, yes, I'm gonna have.
And I slipped in
question
through
I have
one.
is how
Yeah.
But what I'm essentially wondering is if I should even enter the house or if I should check the rooms via going in and out through the windows on the outside. I bypass the guy in the hallway.
Oh, climb up the side of the wall or down from the roof and
Yes.
break the window in?
Yes, slip in
Interesting.
via the exterior and just sort of bob in and out. And then when you hear a big explosion, it's done.
Well, as I case the
Or me-
outside of the joint, comparing notes with you later on, we could have said, okay, you describe the inside of the house, and I say, yes, there actually was a window that presumably leads into that room.
We don't we speculate we know what room
That is
it's
correct.
in.
You like it's a reasonable assumption to think like you found a window that you think leads into there, but you don't know if it's barred, you don't know if it's bricked up on the inside or whatever. Right?
So if we have this explosive, what do we want to do with it?
Well, so I can bring in my troop with music. We can be really, really loud, which can be your signal symbols to try to get in. Ideally, one or both of you should be able to slip away, but I'm
think
going to
that's
have to
him.
probably stay while we perform, right?
I'm not a slip away type, so that feels like probably Tommy Stink Eye.
That
We
Tommy
could do
Stink
some sort
Eye.
of performance where it's like hide and seek, and so part of it, of the performances, you hide, characters hide, and so that not all the eyes are on all three performers at one.
Well,
given
there will
time.
be more people with us, too. It won't just be us
Okay.
three. I'm getting an entire Mummers troop, so I imagine there will probably be
half a dozen.
half a
But-
dozen
but
of us.
We're not leaving here undetected, though, right?
No,
That's not the plan.
we are not.
So one of the things he would give us props for is sort of damaging his security. I can blow up the guy in the armor.
That's exactly what
like
I
Yeah.
literally just if I think I know where he's standing, I can just put it on the other side of the wall from him as I exit. If I, if I get the painting and I can put it there,
What if we made a bomb with a lodestone on it and we just attached it to his armor and ran?
Yeah.
Magnetic sticky bomb.
Plus, plate armor is inherently difficult to move on, so if you put it anywhere on his thigh, he cannot reach it.
I suppose he wouldn't be expecting somebody to open the door from the inside if he thought everybody was the outside. But he also might not be standing
also,
there.
if we rough up Damien, we get
Right.
extra points.
Like, I don't know if he was guarding the person in the room or the room.
No, this is easy. You stick a bomb on the guy, I'll punch Damien, we run.
Screw the painting.
Don't forget about the painting.
What painting? Oh
But
my God!
So
guys, the
my
painting.
so I my so wow, no complete senses there at all.
cool.
All right, I have the bomb. I go through the window.
Gunpowder
I
makes
see
me
if
very
I get the
excited.
painting, and I see if I can locate the man in armor if he's not already with you guys.
And we just
But
sing and
we
dance?
don't really have any way of.
Well, I sing
Communicating
and
that.
dance. I figure you're going to sneak and try to go up there. Because, like, if the man in armor is not in front of the study, if he's down with Damien, if he's personal protection, you can try to go in that way. Although, be warned that as soon as you open that door, there may be some type of alarm.
Yeah.
I'm a big guy, I think, just big circle guy. So I actually think if there's any part of performance could happen that just requires a strong man base, like I could just be the guy that sits there that people tumble off of or music is played upon, or I don't know.
We could create a distraction with a tumbling accident.
Tumblers and tumbling accidents, like that sounds like a great element to this little ruse.
There is something about it going totally, completely awry and having to like, oh my gosh, where's we need to take somebody to the kitchen.
We
to-
need a quiet
God,
room with
fake
many
blood.
paintings.
So yes,
So I will point out there are a few obstacles that you know of, right? You know of the big armored guy. You know he's got private security on the grounds as well. You also know that there's going to be not only Lord Cinder, but also his guests that are there as well, sneaking around them and getting past them and convincing them all that, like, this thing's gone awry. These are all challenges you got to deal with.
but Blood Puddle presumably will not be there because it is not a full moon.
It is.
It is a
It
full
is.
It is.
That's why this is particularly an interesting night because everything coincides.
Yep, all lines.
And we don't know, for all we know, Blood Puddle may throw magic at us.
Don't worry about that, I say non-confidently.
Don't worry about
I
that.
can maybe handle that.
How about I just take out Blood Puddle before she enters in?
Do you want to
Could do
shoot
that.
her?
We could just take her out.
All right.
Defeat her
It's
on
just-
approach. That's scary.
So you're
just
I
gone.
can actually get
We take
Also,
one
what if-
variable
another
out.
another
My fear would
thing
be
that
if
I
you-
can. Sorry, go ahead.
no. I was saying my fear would be if you kill her when she's approaching, he's gonna be like, "That's it, we're done. No party tonight. Everyone get out of my house." Right? I mean, the dude's a recluse. He's
Yeah.
scared of something. We just don't know what he's scared of right now.
Maybe it's the 7-foot-tall, fully armored man in his.
He's like trapped in there. Oh shit.
Yep.
Maybe we're gonna find a really willing participant here.
And
Like,
we're-
please.
Let me out of this suit of
We're-
armor.
Yeah,
We're-
I'd count on that if I were you guys.
Okay, so I'll go into the mummers. You're gonna sneak away. You're gonna go in through the window to try to get there.
Mumming.
You're mumming until we need you to mum elsewhere. What?
Mum off.
What other mum off? Let's just pun it up right now. What other? What else can we plan with all this time we have? And we still have one influence, your influence and that influence to spend.
I thought one of those. Oh no, because we got another one. Never mind.
Right, we got another one. If it's, I can get some heavy armament. Like one of the things I can do is circle is get like a heavy crossbow, for example. That if we need assistance with. So I mean, I'm thinking.
I have crossbows.
Do you have a heavy crossbow?
No.
Like we're talking,
Too
I
light
assume like
hand crossbow.
arbalest
Heavy
type
crossbow.
thing.
Heavy crossbow.
I
Yeah,
do.
he does have one already. Yeah.
Oh, well, shit.
Already handled.
So
You like pull it out. You're like, I have one
You
right.
made this?
let's get the
Literally
explosive.
right.
So we're gonna get the timed explosive.
Yep. And that's 2 influence
yeah,
for that.
that's both your
Yep.
influence. Cool.
All right. So yeah,
How many of those distracting
the
things
society,
can you make?
the Red Lotus Society delivers
The
a
little
slow
things?
fuse explosive to you.
Okay.
We could put the explosive on the tips of the crossbows.
It's probably pretty big. It's not Rambo.
It is a heavy crossbow.
So
it's mounted on
can
a
we?
carriage.
And I'm not really kidding about this. Can we have a magnet or a lodestone on the explosive?
You could.
Well, I mean,
spend
the thing is,
that-
like, I can literally plant it, however, whether it's magneted or not, and potentially without him noticing,
You have
depending
sleight
on
of
how
hand, right?
slick it is.
The option, if
Yeah.
we need
Yeah.
to stick them to like, kunk.
That seems like the kind of thing that you would basically go to a black market alchemist for.
Yeah.
So that seems reasonable to spend influence on that if you wanted to.
Yeah.
I said that's an option I'm putting forth. Like magnet bomb on 7-foot tall steel guy.
I don't mind
I
it.
don't hate the idea.
That's fine with me.
Yeah. Get it?
Anybody else? Going once, going twice.
Legitimate.
So close. Thank you.
So can I pack a little pouch full of the
You got a
little
fanny pack?
I got a fanny pack. I'd like to stuff it full of all kinds of like flares and
Glitter!
The
Like,
things-
like
Let's
theatrical,
theatrical,
special
like
effects.
the
Like
flashbang
flash paper.
the flashbang I threw on the ground, confetti.
Sure.
Illusions, Michael.
Illusions, Michael. You don't have time for my illusions.
Sweet. Okay. Stephen Guard's gonna be so excited, guys.
Guard pack.
Yeah.
Steven, you'll be pleased to know I'm back.
Well, we have to remember though, I'm Bianca.
Guys,
right
that's the
now.
girl I'm telling you about. That's the
All right.
You're a mummer. You could play that up.
Yeah. All right. What else do we need to plan before we basically go into this?
You can also
mansion?
stop early if you
yeah.
want. You don't have to
I
use the entire
know.
time.
I need to do
Well,
a different
I mean,
keyword.
I feel like essentially we're sort
Yeah,
of
got it,
sowing
got it.
chaos.
Yeah, I feel
and
like that's
and
really
how
what
much
we're.
chaos can you plan for? I mean, we have a bomb and a
It will be in disarray, right? We
Yeah.
assume everything will be in disarray. There'll be explosions.
As
so
long as we all agree that that is our plan, I'm good with moving
yes,
forward.
like
chaos.
it's
I just don't want to get in there and have someone be like, "Why didn't we plan for
this
this?"
is not a surgical strike, apparently.
Okay.
Well, without influence, I'm a little bit hamstrung because I can't convince any beggars to, serve as a distraction. Convince a pack of street urchins to swarm a merchant or merchants.
It's just not the
Like,
right environment
we-
for that anyway. I think probably you did
Because there's
the
no
best
street
thing with
urchins
it.
in this area.
no,
this
I think
noble-
really
You're gonna be more focused on this area
Yeah.
from here
Yeah.
forward. I
you're the
think.
one.
Exactly.
You're our range DPS right now. So when Big Armor Man comes at us after we make him go explode,
Yeah.
and he's still up and moving about, you're the one. You're gonna be the real MVP. Okay.
We'll see about that.
All right. Well, it sounds like you guys have more or less a plan. So
Very loose plan. It's an
we
outline,
will
really.
wait on Lane to get back, and hopefully he'll be back in a second.
It's just so
so
We have
That's
we
it,
have some
right? That's
we have
the
some
plan?
we have some bullet points.
Yeah. All right. So just to let you guys know, because you haven't done a final scene yet. So the final scene of the job is always going to play out like a drama scene where we take turns going back and forth. There's a certain number of challenges that are out there that you know about, like the noble himself, the big armored guy, etc. That all kind of have to be dealt with in order to succeed, right? We're going to play it out as a series of turns. Like, you guys are going to do things, and I'm going to do things. You guys are going to do things, and I'm going to do things. And then either you're going to succeed and get away, or if, like, your luck starts running out during these scenes, you might end up falling off and falling out of the scene, right? Like you're arrested or driven away or whatever like that. But yeah, we're basically just going to play it out
So
just
walk
like
through
the drama
final
scenes.
scene.
Right, just
Yeah.
remember, I'm not afraid of getting
Yep.
arrested. I'm just afraid of getting killed
Right.
because
There
I
are
can get out of a
few-
prison.
There are a few other slight differences. For example, normally I can only spend heat at the start of a scene. During a drama or during the final scene of the job, I can spend heat at any time.
Okay.
Right, so I can introduce complications. I haven't spent any heat yet because we're doing a really short job, but it is going to be the start of a new segment, a nighttime segment. So there's now 16 heat
Oh,
in the
good.
heat pool, which is just the right amount.
The manner is going to be on fire.
I should probably get my sheet here.
Sophia Bloodpuddle enters. Turns out she's a weirdo.
She's all heat.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm going to take a second to look over my possible complications because I got to spend that heat, otherwise it's not getting spent.
Much like influence.
Yeah,
like
I'm going
influence,
to
yeah.
review what I got 2 knives. I will probably never use them.
Yeah. Well, you might.
I like to think that my throwing cards are kind of like Gambit, where like I'm gonna be able to throw them, they're just not gonna explode, so it'll be real showy, and then I'm just gonna run like hell.
And
It's my power move.
Yes, I've got some. My run like hell's not super powerful.
Mine's 65%.
Yeah, mine too.
I don't know. This will be fine. It's gonna be great.
all right. I know what I'm doing.
So, since everybody else is out and
Yeah.
we're live streaming, tell me what inspired you to put this all together?
Yeah, sure. So like I said, I've been working in the games industry for 15 years, and I don't own anything I've ever created because I always work for other companies. So I wanted to make something of my own, and I wanted to make an RPG that was really easy to get on the table fast, like something that I could pull off the shelf and we could start playing really fast, like you do with a board game on board game night, right? Like, 10 minutes of setup and you're good to go. I wanted something like that, but for an RPG because there's some games out there that are good for that, but I want to take my crack
Yeah.
at something like
Well,
that. Right?
I mean, I love the character creation.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
super simple, and you sort of you read each of them, and then like a character sort of forms in your
Yeah,
mind, right?
yeah.
You draw from.
And
some
I was really
entertainment or-
inspired by like the Gamma World game that we did when I was at Wizards. That was like the
Yeah.
combined
Yep,
two.
loved it. Roll on the
or,
table. Great,
yeah,
you're
yeah,
you
or
know, the 2 races.
Iron Kingdoms RPG also has the pick 2, right?
Yep.
So these are like that kind of thing was the what I wanted for the player characters because about half of what makes it slow to start a game is making characters, right?
Yeah.
The other half is prep time for the GM, right? And so what I did was I said, okay, scenarios are really simple. They're just a small sandbox of like this is what's true about these characters or whatever, and then all the onus is on the players to come up with the plan and the ideas and everything. So you guys driving the action does a lot of the work that would normally be carried by the scenario for like here's the different scenes that happen and the plot twists and turns, and then the advantage and challenge dice and heat are the tools that I use to make it so that like all those dramatic twists and turns you'd normally have in a scenario or actually just they come out naturally through play, right? So a lot of it is just based on that idea that like I want this to be a fast pick up and play game that hits the table in a hurry and you run through something really quick.
And is it does it support like a campaign mode?
Yeah. There are campaign rules that basically focus on when I say you can earn extra respect for doing these things, that's basically like bonus XP that you get.
Okay.
And then there's also recurring characters. So like if you for example, Stephen Guard is a great example of a character that might become a recurring character,
stick.
Yeah.
right? And if every time that a recurring character shows up, they have a bigger and bigger impact on the scene. So like this first time was just like we made this guy up, but if like we were to come back next week and play another job and you guys introduce Stephen Guard into a scene, he would actually have a mechanical impact. Like you might get some advantage dice because he's recurring and you know how to deal with him, or if I introduced him, because he recognizes you guys, he might be throwing challenge dice at you as well.
Yeah.
Excellent.
One of the things you can accidentally do is create minor villains.
Yeah.
No, but that's so much fun
Accidentally, that's
though.
great,
That's so
yeah.
much fun.
I've done it twice. Okay.
That's true. Well, only one of them is actually villainous. The other one is she just sort of doesn't like you.
Are you talking about Marla?
Marla doesn't like you, but
Adversary.
Jojo, who
Jojo.
you left to die
I
in a
didn't
sinking
leave
ship.
JoJo to die. I tried to save
You
her.
100% left her to die in a sinking ship.
I had to think about Sharptooth the seal, okay, man?
Yeah.
The cool thing about this game...
Playtesting inside jokes are hilarious.
Right. The
Are
cool
we
thi-
live or are we off right now?
Oh, we're live.
We're live.
We're
I
100%
figured I'd
live.
talk
Yeah.
while
The cool thing about this, though, is had we picked different characters, like had anyone been a part of the Red Lotus Society or anyone been a Vesper, this job could have played out any number of different ways
Yeah.
because there's the canal around the back that we could have used. So for me, having play tested this and played the same scenarios a few times, it's cool because you can pick a different character and you can play the scenario in an entirely different way.
Yeah.
Right.
The other side of campaign play is everybody. If we were going to play a campaign, everybody would pick a story conflict, and that's like a thing that you care about in the world. That is like a conflict between you and somebody else, or your group and somebody else. So like, oh, my cartel and the Forgotten are having a feud right now, so that's the story conflict I care about. Or like, there's a Crown investigator out there that really has it out for us, so that's the one that I care about right now. And every time that shows up in a job, it progresses a little bit more and a little bit more, and then when it finally sort of hits its climactic point and it pops, then like you resolve that storyline and you get like a permanent benefit, like, oh, like I got promoted in my cartel, or I've got a guy that like a stooge from my cartel that follows me around now, or things like that, right? And
Excellent.
so like the campaign play is mostly focused on recurring storylines and recurring characters, but they do mechanically impact your characters and your crew. Yeah. Okay,
Awesome.
cool. So it's time for the final scene of the job. So night falls over stately Cinder Manor, and you have arranged for your mummers troop the what did you call them? The bombastic mummers.
Yeah.
Bombastic.
The
It's
BMs.
Real on the nose.
Well, that was
Yeah.
appropriate.
The BMs.
I like that.
Yes.
That's nice.
So you're
Full
going to
of
be going
bluster.
in as guests of
Bombast.
Mandrake Riverford, the old money merchant who is a part of this grand melee
Did
game.
he put more clothes on than his bathrobe?
He did, yes.
Okay.
Like going,
That's
his
his
going
thing,
out in
though.
public attire is fitting of a merchant,
Okay.
right?
Okay. Good.
So you're going to be going in under the guise of being his sort of personal retinue. And when you get inside, you are led to the chamber that he saw previously that was like a parlor that's intended for gaming.
Okay.
It's not actually huge because this guy, he's kind of a recluse. He doesn't have any reason to have a big, like, it's not like a full casino in here. So there's like a grand melee table, which is like a baccarat table. But you guys are setting up for like performance off to one side, and it's not a big room. So like the Lord Cinder's personal guards are kind of there, and they're looking at you guys as you're setting up like, what are these people doing? There's not enough room for this. Even the other merchants that are sort of filtering in slowly, they're looking askance at you like, really? We're here to play cards. Like, what? Why is this troop here? And Riverford, to his credit, is like, no, I thought I would lighten up these dreary proceedings. I mean, we're here to play cards and have fun, aren't we? I thought some music and entertainment would be nice. And the rest of them were just like, Riverford, you ass. Like, why did you do this to us?
One of the troop
right?
clearly strums a chord as soon as he says that.
Bling. Yeah.
How is Cinder reacting?
So Lord Cinder is so this is actually the first time you've seen Lord Cinder during this
Also,
entire
we've
job.
seen a giant steel man.
Yes, I'm getting to that.
Okay.
So
Plant the bomb now.
Lord
Done.
Lord Cinder is he comes in while you guys are still setting up for your entertaining performance, and when he does, you see that he's an older man. He looks like, at first glance, you're like, oh, he's like kind of in his early 50s or something. But as he like passes into the light, you actually see that he looks much older. Like maybe it's not the years, but it's the mileage, right? But like he looks like he's lived a hard life. But he's got that sort of like square jaw. Looks like in his youth, maybe he really cut a figure. It's just like a handsome, virile young man who now in the twilight of his years
It's all
has
sagging.
seen harder days. Yeah, this is all drooping now. No, but he still takes care of himself. He's still a noble. He's dressed finely. His clothing's sort of out of fashion, but he seems very distracted as soon as he comes in. And even looking at your troop, he's just like, what is going on here? Riverford, I didn't invite you here to bring a whole, passel of people. Do any of you have read someone's emotions as a skill?
I do.
Great. Why don't you give me a roll on that?
I do as well.
Great. Actually, go ahead and roll an advantage die on that because you're both together. They're together, right? All right. So you succeed.
Yes, succeed.
Yeah. So he's a little distracted, but you also kind of get the impression that maybe seeing your troop there, he now looks just slightly concerned, right? It's just like you've given him some anxiety, right?
Okay.
He looks like he can handle it.
But this is not what he expected, so something is out of the norm. Okay.
I'm going to kind of flourish and bow and tell Lord Cinder, we've come to play for you. We hope to serve at your future gatherings or anyone who has come tonight. We play at your pleasure.
All right, so you're setting up. You're introducing yourselves.
Yeah.
The Ed, why don't you tell me a little bit about what's going on with your character?
All right, so Dante's intention is sort of to be in place prior to their arrival.
Yep,
Just
sure.
just a little bit, right?
Yep,
so
no
just
problem.
kind of chilling there, finding a nice little nook on the rooftop behind a chimney or something like that to just kind of chill out till I hear everyone arrive and the distractions begin. And as soon as these guys are in the house, because I don't feel any real need to wait for anybody, I am going to shimmy down to that window, jimmy it open, listen, see if I hear anybody inside, sort of see what I can do. But I'm going to enter the premises into the room that I'm
that you think is
hopeful
the study
that contains
Great.
our prize.
Perfect. But you're not waiting on a signal for them to do that.
No.
I believe you guys had set up a signal before.
If
for
you guys do some loud cymbal banging,
That's
whatever.
my job.
that-
I'm just there with the symbols.
just like make some noise.
Big move.
What's this guy for?
I don't.
What's this guy for?
I don't know if I'll have everything in place by that time or if I'll go early. We didn't.
We're going to do this by feel, Rodney.
Great,
Yes.
perfect, wonderful.
And I'm doing my best to make sure no one else feels the anxiety that Lord
Cinder.
Cinder.
feels. I want to continue
Damien
distracting them,
Cinder.
like, hey, have you heard?
Hey.
Oh, have you done
Okay,
this?
good.
Hey,
Me and Damien have
I'm
the
working
same
the room.
initials.
Yeah.
I'm working the room, so everybody's like, maybe this is a good idea.
Good.
This is very
Did
fun.
you see my magic tricks?
We've heard all about them from the guards.
No.
So, all right. So,
They're spreading
Dante.
rumors now.
I know.
Yeah.
Dante, you position yourself on the roof, and you know where this window is, and so you shimmy down, and you have no trouble entering. I mean, you got your second story workability, so you just get inside, right? You get in, and you find the study is lit by lamps all over the room. It's a little bit different than what you'd expect out of a noble study. Indeed, there are books lining the walls, but there's a lot of weird sort of you would almost describe them as like occult artifacts. There's like a human skull on one shelf and a petrified raven on another, and like it's a little creepy in here. And as you are sort of sliding into the room, and like you pull the curtains behind you to not like shine the light out of the house, and you kind of look around, you realize even this room is shaped strangely. The desk at the center of the room is kind of, well, it's not really the center of the room. It's sort of shoved forward to where it's almost like right in front of the main door that comes in, leaving a big open area behind the desk leading up to the hearth. And there's the hearth there, and above the hearth is this portrait, right? And it's big. It's like bigger than you.
Shit. The painting.
It's real big. Right, so like it is
Like
it
not
is
fit out the window big.
not fit out the window big, right?
Right.
Fit out the door big,
Okay.
but definitely not fit out the window big, right?
Maybe if we had something
Well,
that
the
could fit a
existing
larger
window.
opening
Not-
After the
not-
dynamite, it
not the
potentially could
existing
be
window. That is correct. Yes.
the new opening.
That might
It's
be
will.
nice.
You're looking at this thing, and there's something kind of weird as you're looking at it. It seems too well lit. And you're kind of looking around at all the the lamps, and there's like some mirrored lamps that kind of project on it, but that's not quite making sense to you. And then you sort of realize that the way that the light is shining off the lamps and coming in, that they're hitting the stones of the hearth, and the stones of the hearth are in turn glowing brightly upward, and it's kind of casting the entire portrait in this eerie glow. And you're almost fascinated as you look at it, and you're like, it's almost like the portrait is almost
Hit
real.
the symbols quick.
Too bad
Okay.
it's not
character is now
Vigo.
known as a portrait
not.
thrall.
Vigo Cinder.
All right, so now is the time when I spend some heat. All right, so I'm going to spend 12 heat. So let me
12
cash
Just
that.
all of it.
Yep. So there's 4 left.
Good
Was there
God.
16 in there?
There were 16 of them.
Yes.
Yep. All right, so I'm spending 12 heat. So you're staring up at this thing, and as you are looking up at the portrait, you hear the of the door opening behind you. And you turn and look behind you, and entering the room is a bedraggled woman that looks basically homeless, right? Like looks a lot like your forgotten friend in a lot of ways, right?
Wait, I
no.
might know her.
And she she comes in to the room and gives a start as soon as she sees you. There's no question about like, does she know you're there? Because you're kind of like standing out in the middle, looking up this thing.
All right.
And she kind of gives a start and snarls as soon as she sees you, and she says, "You're not supposed to be in here."
All right. So I will say, I am at your service, Madam Bloodpuddle.
Okay, so. All right.
My favorite part's when Rodney chuckles maniacally to himself before he does something.
Twist.
Okay, so you get the impression she is like, really pissed off at you, and then you say her name, and she just like blinks and is startled. Why don't you go ahead and give me a roll to lie to someone if you've got it, or distract someone? I think would also work here as well.
Distract someone.
Okay, great.
So
I'm
we're in
gonna get you an advantage die because she was not expecting you to use her name.
Okay. So 3.
Yeah.
That'll do it.
Okay.
No advantage.
Quick thinking, Dante.
Yeah, I don't know what I'm going to do next.
That's
But
fine.
All right.
yeah.
So she
Throw the
sort of
barometer.
Gauge your reaction.
blinks and like her anger immediately turns to kind of confusion. She's just like, "How do you know my name?" All right, so we're gonna pause for a second and
'Kay.
cut to these guys. So downstairs, you've been trying to soothe this audience of
Listen,
card
As only
players.
Tommy
It's
Stink
not
Guy
that
can.
weird, you guys.
All right, but you're basically focusing on making the merchants feel at ease with your performance, right?
Yep.
All right, and you already sort of described what you're doing. I'd like you to go ahead and give me a roll to convince someone if you've got it.
I have
Shoot someone.
I have distract someone.
Yeah, that sounds great. Yeah, go ahead and give me a roll to distract someone.
I have a question.
To pull back the curtain a little bit here, these guys all represent like sort of obstacles to you guys succeeding, and so what you're doing here is when you're making these rolls, you're effectively attacking them, and taking them out as challenges.
Okay.
Yeah, your question?
Has the guy in armor showed up yet?
That's a great question, Caitlin. I'm glad you asked. I'll get to that in just a second because
Okay.
I want to resolve what he said he was
Okay.
doing first.
Okay.
Totally.
Work in the room, distracting them from the task
Yeah.
at hand, and I am successful in that. No,
Great.
I'm not. 73.
No,
No, I'm not.
37.
37. Yes,
37.
yes,
37.
yes, yes.
All right. Yeah, so you're going around, and you sort of like Riverford is kind of already on your side, right? Like he's been bribed. You kind of go around and you like clap the Vladov Noble on the shoulder and like, hey, how you doing?
Yeah.
Oh, we got a Vladov guy in our troop, isn't that cool?
Want to see my eye? Want to see my trick with my
no,
eye?
I'm good.
Stink eye.
I can smell,
Smell
it.
it.
From here.
No,
I can
smell
it
my
from
eye.
here,
Smell
yeah.
it.
But yeah, you are sort of distracting him and like starting to move around the room. So you asked about the big guy in armor. You do in fact see the big guy in armor. He is a hulking shadow just outside the door leading into the parlor. He looks like he is basically taken up position right next to the door.
Okay.
Now, is this the door that is in between where we're at and where we need to go to?
Yeah, it
Where the
kind of
painting's
leads
at?
to the hallway that then goes out to the
Based
rest
on
of
the
the house,
description
yeah.
that he gave us of where the guy was when he went in previously, is he in the same spot?
No.
no, he's
No.
downstairs.
You guys are
now.
in the parlor where the game is
Yeah.
being played. He's upstairs in the study.
Ah, okay, right, got
So
it.
I'm gonna kind of like
With blood puddle
blood puddle.
alone.
Shuffle back.
Okay.
And I'm gonna, like kind of move up to the guy in armor and be like, "What's up? You see my magic?
You know Steven, right?
You know Stephen Guard."
So it
Make a
sounds like
call.
you're trying to distract him with your entertaining wiles.
I would also like to read his emotions.
Oh, okay, sure. That sounds great. Go ahead and give me give me a straight up roll.
I succeed. Bianca is most successful.
And what'd you roll?
32.
Great.
His emotion is indifference.
100% right, actually.
Oh, God, why did I say anything?
When you start talking to him, he's standing there and he sort of turns and looks at you, and then looks away. When he looks at you, like there's like the slit in his visor is the only, and like it's a tiny little slit, right? When you see him look at you, you don't see eyes. You just sort of see shadow behind the helmet.
Okay. I'm going to not touch him. I want to be perfectly clear that I'm not touching the scary man in armor.
Okay, sounds good.
I'm going to be like, I've always liked a man in armor. I'm going to be, use my feminine wiles on him a little bit here.
Okay, we'll get back to that.
Oh,
Lane,
Ronnie's
what are you
like,
doing?
it's not successful.
I actually think I'm. I actually think
We'll
I'm,
come back to your
To
failure later.
disadvantage.
This is a great thing to end on. What you're doing right there.
And scene.
I actually, the combination of convince someone and gossip with nobles, I actually think I'm probably going to be glad handing the crowd a little bit, and working
Okay.
the crowd in the same way that
Okay.
Tommy is.
Yeah.
So I'll probably be, I think on the gossip with nobles front, I will be making charming small talk about court matters and city matters. But basically, I'm
And
trying
strongman
to set the
arms.
crowd at ease as well.
Okay,
And maybe
yeah.
do small parlor tricks that aren't really
All right.
tricks. So
Go ahead and give me a roll.
yes, 24. Is there an advantage or disadvantage on it all, or you just want to roll?
So are you focusing on the?
I'm not focusing on the gossip part, actually.
Okay.
Sorry, is that what you were asking?
Well, so I'm really sort of asking how you're using the skill, because like you said, gossip with nobles. The only noble in the room is Lord Cinder himself.
We said matters of courts, right? So
I keep on forgetting there's no damn nobles.
Right?
Yeah.
Right?
They're all merchants, but he's a noble.
Then I'm actually more on the convince someone side of it, I
Okay.
think.
But you're still
I'm-
going after the merchants themselves, trying to
yeah,
kind of.
yeah.
Okay.
Like I'm going after the guests.
You're-
I'm
and you're
trying
basically
to make
trying to disarm
the
them.
majority of the room feel at ease and disarm them.
Okay,
Like
yeah.
Yeah.
we're here to entertain and to lighten the mood.
Okay. All right. So between the two of your efforts, you think that about half of these nobles, or these merchants, see, now you got me doing it, about half of these merchants are starting to ease up a little bit. And where they were kind of grouchy before about having mummers in the area while they're trying to play cards, they're kind of like, hey, don't give over. As long as they stick to just music, it'll be fine.
I think like part of that will be pouring.
haven't seen
I
our
assume there's a
tumbling
drink
yet.
card or something like that. I'll be pouring drinks.
chaos is about to
I'm just
ensue.
glad
They have
yeah.
no idea.
All right. So as you're doing that, so there's the two of you are kind of doing that. You were the last one, though. There's sort of three of the card players that haven't given over yet. They are trying to drive you off. Basically, they're like, no, we don't want any music here. We came here to play cards, and that's all there is to it. And if these guys stay around, I'm leaving, right?
Whoa.
And you start getting a little nervous because if they start to leave, the cover for your distraction is going to be blown. So you're actually going to take 12 damage as you start feeling anxiety over their effectiveness.
Okay.
Lord Cinder is also there, and he is imperious in his presence. Let's see here. There we go. Okay. He goes up to Tommy Stink Eye, and he is sort of peering down his nose at you, and he says to you, "It is rare that I invite guests into my home, and even rarer that they bring unexpected accompaniment." And he kind of spares a glance for your companions, but he's talking to you because you're the only one that's kind of available for him to talk to right now. And he tells you that whatever Riverford has offered you for this job, he will double it for you to all pack up and leave right now. He's pretty convincing, actually. And you get the impression that if you were to rebuff him right now, he might take it very personally. So you start to sweat a little bit here.
I would like to size him up.
Sure.
That's one of his
So
skills.
basically, he's coercing you. You're going to take 30 damage from that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. You are very concerned that he is going to blow things up for you here.
Can he ask for help? Can he be like, I want to talk to my troop lead and like motion for me? Is that
Oh,
a possibility?
yeah, sure, yeah. But like, basically, I'm doing their turns now. We're going to go back to you guys in a
Yeah.
second.
Yeah,
Yeah. Upstairs, you are talking to Ms. Bloodpuddle, Sophia Bloodpuddle. And you've managed to confuse her a little bit, but she is still doesn't look happy to see you in here. So she... Nope, okay. She comes closer to you, and she gets kind of uncomfortably close. You can kind of smell like... she kind of smells like brackish water and half-rotted food, and also kind of smells like sulfur a little bit as well.
Okay.
And she gets like right up in your face and is, peering into your eyes, and she says, "There's something familiar about your soul. I feel like I've smelled it before."
Those are normal things to say.
Totally normal.
That's my
right?
cousin.
but you're used to weirdness by hanging out with him so much, so she is unable to disturb you with her comments. All right, so now it's back over to you guys. Since we're in the room with Sophia,
I've
why
been
don't you go
told
ahead
I
and
have
tell
a
me what you
familiar
did?
smelling
What,
soul.
so did she close the door behind her when she came in? Or
It's like cracked open. It's
like
not fully closed, but it's also.
Can
She's
I-
all the way in the room.
Yeah. Oh yeah. She's fully in the room.
Can
Like
I-
they're just like a few feet in front of the hearth. The two of you are.
Okay. Which has this giant painting over it.
Yeah.
All right, so I say that I am Dante Cinder.
Sure.
I was like second cousin to Lord Cinder, and Uncle Damien has put me here to assist you with the proceedings.
Okay. All right. Sounds like you're making a roll to lie to someone.
I got a 65.
I'm actually going to give you an advantage die on this for a reason that I'll tell you.
I was going to say, it
perhaps after
sounds
the
like
game.
you're firing on the right
However,
cylinders.
I'm also going to give you a challenge die on this because she doesn't want you in this room
Okay.
very strongly.
All right, so
Oh, that
looks
98.
like I blew it again with a 98, and these are going to cancel each other out.
Okay. So
I would have to spend a ton of luck to bring that
yes.
down.
Now, unfortunately, so you're effectively making mental attacks against her because she has luck
Right.
and she can be attacked. You can't push your luck on mental
Okay.
attacks unless you have a special ability that allows you to, which the Gravediggers Cartel do,
I
but
do
you do
not.
not. Yes. All right. So she seems skeptical of your lie. All right.
Screw you, Dice.
Yeah. Right. Exactly. All right. So back downstairs. So you are facing down with Damien
I
Cinder.
say, Lord Cinder, let us but perform one trick and we will leave. Plus, twice as much as free is still free. So there's no financial advantage, is what I'm saying. But
Listen, the math just doesn't work out on this one.
yeah, but Lord Cinder, please let us show you but one performance. We are honored to be here.
Okay.
We would like to make this.
All right, why don't you go ahead-
As I've done that, I've beckoned so that you hear, you understand what
sure.
I'm saying, and we're like, okay, we have to get this show on the road. It's about symbol time.
All right, why don't you go ahead and give me a roll to convince someone?
And I am trying my best to, like,
Yeah.
assuage his concerns. Like
Using his
one-
stink eye to his
No,
advantage.
I get it.
Smell
So
the eye.
I'm going to give
Smell
you
the eye,
I'm going to
sir.
give you 2 challenge dice on this roll. One because he doesn't like having guests in the first place, and one for some other reason.
For some other
Is
reason.
it because
Yes.
your eyes smelly?
Yeah, I know.
Dude.
No, he's got
Okay.
that old stinky eye.
Okay, so I'm going on.
You have convinced someone?
I don't have convinced, but I do have size someone up. I have distract.
I would say you can use
Anything else?
I would say you can use distract someone here because you
Okay.
are trying to basically, allow your distraction to proceed.
Okay, 65. Let's go. Yes, 53.
Oh, that's good.
And they cancel each other out, right? One.
No.
No,
no.
these are both black, so one disadvantage.
Okay, so 53
That's
is what you rolled,
Tommy
right?
Stink Eye roll right there. Just one eye.
All right.
It's not
So
stink
that
eye.
is
Why do we bring that guy?
okay.
He's good but volatile. Mixed results.
Okay. All right. So he's looming over you, and you basically manage to make a pretty convincing argument that, like, yes, just let us do one thing, and then we'll be out here. Like, and you see
A
he
fateful decision.
you see he sort of softens a little bit on it, and eventually kind of nods his head and he says, "Perhaps just one would not be trouble, but I warn you, you risk earning my displeasure here, and the last people that did that, well, let's just say they're still in the castle." You're actually going to take 10 damage just from the fact that he is so imposing. He is so imposing that he is able to basically, make you sweat despite the fact that you feel like you're making progress on him. Now, he is not fully convinced, but he looks like he's softened a little
But
bit.
he's
going to
give us a chance to do one thing.
He might.
Would a loud cymbal clash convince him?
Where are we at? Where are we at with their performance? So
All right,
you're
so
the leader
you
of the
were
members?
talking to the big armored guy, and then you were still glad handing the merchant. So whichever one of you guys wants to go.
All right.
But
think
you've been
I
called
think
over by
And
him.
we're all on the
hear-
same page right now.
Yeah.
We
So
all see
since-
this happening.
Yeah.
Since I've been called over, I'm going to kind of like wink and shuffle back over to Thomas.
I feel like we're learning a lot about Caitlin's charming techniques as a person.
Shuffle back.
There's a lot of winking, cards, and finger pistols out of Caitlin.
This is all you guys get, all of it.
You started the finger pistols. In all
I
fairness.
did.
You
That's true. That's
Yeah.
true.
You
They're
broke that
contagious,
wall.
really. All right, go ahead.
So I'm
Caitlin.
going to bow before Lord Cinder and say, mayhaps you prefer we perform in the hallway just outside the room so we don't interfere with your game.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Go ahead and give me a roll to convince someone.
Okay.
I'm going to give you one advantage die because there's something he would be minimal to, and one challenge die because he's doesn't want you guys here in the first place.
Yeah. So I succeed, and I get one boon.
Nice.
Very nice. All right, so you got a 58 with a boon, eh?
A.
Okay, great. There we go. Perfect. Okay, so he nods reluctantly, and he says, "Very well. You may perform in the hallway, but I warn you, if things get out of hand, I'll be dismissing you all immediately."
Of course, my lord. Of course, of course.
And he turns and he gestures to the group at the table, and he says, I have changed my mind, and I'm going to allow Mr. Riverford's entertainers to...
BMs.
BMs.
The BMs.
Give me a B.
He says, his
Give me
soul
an M.
wilting a little bit.
B. M.
All right, no,
Where
we're
does that
done.
spell?
Yeah. So you see he sort of...
That's not boom. That should have been the key. Boom.
He sort of wilts a little bit as this...
Sorry, you lost the table. Go on.
Yeah, I did lose the table. Let's give it a moment for this BM to pass. And, all right, so so he basically says, we're going to allow these people to perform. And you actually see that one of the merchants at the table, once Lord Cinder turns, he's sort of like, oh, okay, fine, right?
Okay.
There's still two of the merchants that are looking very surly. What do you do?
I actually am looking over this direction. You know what? I'm going to start to call you guys out, and I pull the symbols out like that's a thing we know. And I look over here. Is it symbol time?
Explain.
Are we going to do some performance?
Are we in the hallway?
I'm looking. So I look to you like a performer looking to the lead for are we starting yet? But
We
this is
need-
also there's subtext.
I know. No, I see what you're doing right now, but we need to soothe the room because if we bang the cymbals and they kick us out because the other two people are upset, we can't help him with Blood Puddle at all.
All right, then it's a ruse where I'll go like this, and then I'll put them behind my back.
Okay.
And I'm actually not going to. I will do whatever
Throw more
starts
finger
whatever
guns
performance.
and
Exactly.
leave.
And then I'll go like this out of the room.
But keep
I
in
learned
mind,
from
so
the best.
We don't know that.
I'm not. I'm doing whatever kicks off the performance that is not that we're going to do in the hallway.
So we're making
Which is I will set the stage for the mummers to start their performance.
All right. Well, it sounds like what you're probably doing is trying to make it seem like this is a real professional performance. And
Yeah, so I
Yeah.
will go out, take center stage. I think what I'm doing is just announcing the troupe,
Okay.
honestly.
Okay.
All right.
What is
Pronounce to you.
the scenario here? So now we are out in the hallway. Does that mean that we're not in visibility of all the merchants, or were they sitting around in a big pavilion?
I mean, like
and now?
the room kind of looks out into the hallway, so it's not
Okay, so
they're
we're
not
still performing
completely
for
out of
everybody.
sight,
I
right?
see.
But it's more like your music will be drifting in from the hall as opposed to being right there in the small parlor.
Yeah.
Okay, so go ahead and give me a roll actually to convince someone or some other equivalent skill if you like.
I got great. Nothing helps a 99.
Yeah, that's
You
not
guys
gonna
are
do
killing
it.
me right now.
So actually,
We're carrying this
is
team
this,
right
is it,
now.
can I push my luck on this one or no?
Mental combat.
Yeah, it is. This is an attack, so you're not able to.
Sorry, say that again.
This is an attack, so you're not able to.
Okay. Then I trip on the way in.
Nice.
Oh
See, my
God,
hope
not
of moving
yet.
us to the hall was that one of us would be able to slip away more easily to get upstairs. But we're gonna have to distract the armored man who really needs a nickname. I'm just throwing it out there.
Stephen
I
Parter.
just sent you a
or
message.
something.
Oh.
If we do start our tumbling, kind of going back to this idea of, as we're clumsy, right? So conceivably,
endearing.
someone can throw someone else into the man in the armor.
Okay.
Kind
So
of
let me
create chaos.
ask you a question.
Yeah.
Regarding my enchantment,
Yeah.
Do I have to pick? It looks like it's just one other character. So, for example, if I was going to set the stage and try and influence the emotions of the viewers here, could I do that to a group?
What does it say?
Well, it uses singular language.
Okay, well, go ahead and read it.
You can use magic to influence the mind or emotions of another character in any way that you can describe to the judge. You choose one individual. That's pretty
There you
direct
go.
right
Pretty
there.
frank.
I read the first sentence.
Read
then
the
the second.
card.
Critical. Who is the hardest sell in the room right now?
Cinder.
No,
Not Cinder. Who's
Cinder's
the hard-
actually, you feel like you've kind of got him off
Okay.
there
he
entirely.
gave us permission.
That's true.
What is?
You
Let me ask this:
paid
what
for
is
it.
the
Yeah, I
nature?
know. I
We've
see
discussed
your
this
price.
beforehand. What is the nature of the performance the real mummers are prepared to do?
They're prepared to do very noisy music and a small amount of indoor tumbling
I love it. Okay.
Crumbling.
with flashbangs
All right.
and confetti.
So here's
So-
here's what I'll
Clumsy
say.
tumbling.
With the merchants, if you want, there's basically two that are still resistant.
Okay.
If you wanted to use your sorcery to influence those last two and basically soothe them, that's a pretty mild use of sorcery in general, right? So I'll say you could do that to the two of them, but we're still going to play out the rest of the mechanics as it reads.
Sure. Okay, so then what I would like to do is take center stage, and I'm going to introduce the troupe and the performance. This is a performance from the empires of old, of music long forgotten. Opening spiel, this is as much as I got it right now in my head. But the course of this is going to take the form of me using my sorcery to influence those two in particular.
Okay.
But it is also just introducing.
Yeah,
the music.
basically, you're using magic to try and or the sorcery to take them both out of the contention
These
there.
guys.
All right, so
I need
now
one more
sorcery.
practice.
Yep.
Sorcery is risky. Sorcery is challenging.
Risky
So
business.
go ahead and make the roll,
I might
please.
roll a
Nothing ventured,
sorcery
nothing
hammy.
gained.
You know what? No, we roll these separately. Those dice don't touch
You
those
do
dice.
have now. What's your chance of success here?
90.
Yeah.
Only one
That's
disadvantage.
not
bad.
Two.
Not bad.
I will
Beat the odds there.
take. I will
50-50.
really take that. No,
Yeah.
that's way less.
Yeah. Okay,
There's a
so
6 and 10 on each of those
yep,
dice.
60% per die. So when you basically get up there, describe what happens as far as your sorcery goes.
I think the way that I introduce it is actually with the cymbals, but I'll do like that soft
Right.
rattling thing to begin whatever the musical performance is. And I'm looking both of these two directly in the eye. But because of that, I miss my cue as to when I'm supposed to be out of in front of everyone, essentially. And I'm kind of awkwardly in the middle of everything as everything starts, and I kind of have to shift and get out of the way.
Okay.
So I'm not sure how you want to
What's the magical component of this?
The magical component.
Does
I'm not sure what you
does
mean
your
with that.
voice sort of echo, or just sort of give me a description of what?
No, I think it's the eye contact with both
Okay.
of them.
Lull
all right.
Like, I'm
everyone-
Yeah, so
actually,
you're like hypnotically
Yeah.
gazing
Yeah.
at them. Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
Lull everyone into some sort of catatonic states.
All
One
right,
eye
that's
looks
good.
at each of them.
Perform, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
now
This is
you
Tommy's
will
stink
see
eye.
a
Yeah.
real stink eye.
Take the power of my stink eye.
All right, that's good. So you do that, and you feel like that your hypnotic power grip the two of them, and immediately all of their complaints cease. Right. So you've basically managed to quell all of the merchants at the table and get them, to where they're sort of leaning back and resting. All right. So
To the point where they will no longer cause us trouble.
that is correct. Yes. Looks like Lord Cinder is also so quelled, but you still got this big hulking guard standing right next to you, right?
No effect on the night.
No. So upstairs, you are looking at Sophia Bloodpool, and she is still kind of up in your face and eyeing you, and she actually looks like she reaches up with her hands towards your face, and you feel heat coming off her palms, like an unnatural heat coming off of her palms. Ooh. All right.
That's a good sign.
When she does this, she
Ooh.
puts her hand up by your face, and it's like you start hearing like really quiet static in your ears that grows louder and louder, and then all of a sudden you feel like pins and needles in your brain. It seems like she's trying to get into your mind with her sorcery.
Okay.
You're actually going to take 30 damage from her sorcery.
Okay.
Seems terrible.
Now it's back to you.
All right, so as this is happening, I'm gonna fake a big wet sneeze right in her face. Like I'm just gonna be like, "Ugh!" And I'm like, "Oh God, I got a tickle," right?
Okay.
And I'm gonna sort of back away toward the window
Okay.
and turn like I'm trying to find something to wipe my nose on.
Okay.
And I'm gonna light the bomb with a candle.
Okay. So why don't you give me a roll to distract someone, because that's what that sounds like you're really
Yep.
doing there. Unless you got something else you'd rather use.
Nope, 80%.
Great,
I'll
perfect.
I'll
Go
take that.
Bro.
Bro, do we
Don't,
even
don't worry, you're just rolling the worst of anyone at the table, and you're in the room by yourself with a sorceress.
Bro,
There's
do you
really
even
scary
sneeze?
Old lady.
All right.
Do you
so
even sneeze,
you,
bro?
You failed there. I'm actually going to spend the last 4
Excellent
heat.
summation.
Yeah. I'm going to spend the last 4 heat that's in the pool right now. And you sort of sneeze, and she freakishly nimbly steps out of the way, so that like the mist from your sneeze just sort of like drifts beside her.
Sneeze dodge.
And around that time, like you sort of made this big sneeze, the door behind her pushes open. And you see that there are a group of private security guards out there that like are the guards on the ground. They're pushing their way in, and one of them says, "Oh, Miss Bloodpool, I didn't know you were in here." And
Blood puddle.
Blood Puddle, who is this man? And they start frowning. So basically, I've added a squad of private security to the room.
This is so great.
I'm coming up. I'm coming up.
It's fine.
All right.
I'm helping.
Downstairs, you are out in the hallway setting up the music and everything, and the big hulking form of the guard in armor, he's just sort of watching all of you. But as he's watching over you, like he sort of perks up for a second and turns and looks
damn
towards the
sneeze.
stairs.
All right.
All right, back to you guys.
Show on the road. I am going to cue us up. We're going to start playing.
Tumbling.
Yeah.
This is patience.
Okay.
This
I'm-
is art,
okay,
sir.
okay, okay,
They, they layer in the performance.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
It's a common mistake to tumble too early.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Don't blow your tumble.
the music has started, right? And the tumblers are kind of like getting ready.
Little
That's the
Boots
kind of
Cats music,
we
yeah,
play,
right.
apparently. And
It's sort of trance, you know.
I'm going to start throwing down flashbangs to
Signal him.
signal him.
Okay.
It's time to do this.
All right. Yep.
And the tumblers are going to prepare to tumble into the armored man, and I'm going to throw flashbangs at his face because I enjoy getting strangled by
Okay.
big
Got
angry
it.
men.
So you want to distract him by basically directing the troop all around him.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Go ahead and give me a roll to distract someone. Because you've got your whole troop there to help you, I'm going to give you a advantage die. I'm going to give you 2 challenge dice on this roll.
Totes. Roll so good.
This game is dumb.
Oh, why'd you say that? That
Can't
hurts.
wait. I get a boon, but I do not succeed.
Okay. All right.
Dude, it's like talking to someone's golf swing.
All right. So they tumble into him, and it's like they tumbled into a brick wall. He does not move at all. He does not budge. In fact, it's kind of freakishly so. It's like watching someone run full on into a giant statue, right?
Did you say it's like he's not even human?
I might say that.
Okay, how interesting.
I mean, I wouldn't use those words, but you can.
Okay.
Okay. But for your boon, so you did get the boon. So they don't manage to distract him. He is unfazed by this entirely. But you are you're directing them, and you actually hear the noise of like the footsteps of the guards upstairs. So now downstairs, you guys are aware that other guards have gone into the room with Dante.
So what I had planned was, as we were,
And she basically like can signal to you guys with like hand signs, like, "Hey, there's something going on."
Exactly.
Fingers
So
up.
What
as-
is
as-
the opposite of double guns? It's like,
Just like
Right.
in the head.
double targets.
Yeah, don't. Well, I wouldn't do that.
no.
I'm gonna let you do that.
I'm inappropriate.
What? No.
Okay, all right.
Let's work on that
All
one.
right, so, what do you
Okay,
got?
so while we're starting to tumble, and I think that I'm assuming that there's a staircase kind of off the hallway,
Yeah,
right, that goes upstairs. We hear some commotion. So as we're tumbling, I'm, getting higher up the staircase, jumping higher up the staircase. The last time I am presumably going to jump off the staircase, I go down the hallway based on his
Like it.
suggestion.
Okay.
So no one knows that I've left. They're assuming that I'm,
Okay.
We'll see.
climbing up higher.
Oh, wait,
That's
I'm
my-
not supposed to talk.
I'm not even going to roll now. Thanks a lot.
Well, you are going to roll. Go ahead and give me a roll to sneak around.
And I am trying to
Yep, get to him.
help him out.
Yep, great. Go
Wherever
ahead and
he's
give me a
at.
roll to sneak around.
Okay. Sneak around.
If you
Sneak
don't got
around
it, it's
65.
everything
I got
else.
it. 65. Good God. Can I just try to outdrink someone? Because that's higher.
Doesn't sound like that's what you're doing here.
I'm
Sorry.
gonna throw alcohol at this problem and hope it goes
Light it
away.
on fire. Okay. Yes, 1.
About time.
All right,
Zing.
Yep, you slip off. Nobody notices you.
Okay, sweet.
All right.
I'm coming.
So
I'm coming.
you're still downstairs.
Is it symbol time yet?
Oh yeah, it's symbol time.
Oh. I start rhythmically just jamming on that cymbal.
Okay.
It's like you were born for this.
Yeah. Listen, I'll
been
tell you what
waiting
this
my whole
performance
life.
needs.
More
There's
cowbell.
more cymbal.
Yeah.
Are you trying to cover the sounds, or are you just signaling?
Uh,
That's a really interesting question, Rodney.
Are you glad I asked?
I'm so glad you asked.
yeah. Yeah, it is interesting. Well, I'm repeatedly just jamming on a cymbal to whatever makes sense rhythmically with the song being played.
Okay. Yeah. Sure. Of course.
And I assume that they're going to match volume with me. So I'm starting to bang cymbals really loudly, which is going to both signal and cover sounds.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great. Go ahead and give me a roll to distract someone.
14.
Come on.
And
yes.
hopefully our friend the guard really likes music and he can get down right now.
I'm like, Stephen Guard.
This one's for you. You're like giving him the eyes as you're.
This one goes
yeah.
out to Stephen Guard.
Everyone turns and looks at him like, I don't know this man. I don't know what's happening. All right.
Somebody's
Stephen Guard there?
birthday.
He guards the estate. He's a recluse.
An exterior guard and an interior guard?
So back
Steven
upstairs,
Thompson.
Sophia Bloodpuddle turns and extends a finger at you, and she looks like she's like pointing at you and looking at the guards like, I don't know this man. I have no idea who he is. She's ratting you out.
But you were trying to
oh.
light the
Yeah, I
dynamite
didn't
with a
get that
candle.
far.
I didn't care.
Yeah, his sneeze
Okay.
failed.
Yeah.
All right, so
Oh,
you're gonna
that's
take
right.
20 damage as like the panic starts to sit in from her doing that, and the guards fully come into the room. You see, there's 5 of them, and these 5 guards come into the room and they sort of form an arc around you, and they start reaching for sabers and holding out, like sort of drawing their sabers and pointing them towards you. And the one that's obviously in charge of them, he kind of steps forward and he says, throw down everything you're carrying and raise your hands. You're not supposed to be here. He's basically trying to intimidate you into surrendering, but he fails to do so.
Okay. So I say. So I sort of back away and ideally toward a candle, and I'm gonna see if I can. I'm gonna attempt to sort of take my knapsack, but light the bomb.
Okay. Yep.
And then be like, I'm sorry, take it back,
All
and just like throw my whole knapsack to the guard.
All right. I feel
Lit
like that
knapsack.
is probably a roll to conceal an object would be the best thing there. So why
Okay.
don't you go ahead and give me that roll? And there's a lot of them in the room, so it's gonna be kind of tough. I'm gonna give you one challenge die on this.
All right.
Be sneaky.
Yes, 92. I blew it,
Yeah, that's not good.
Yay! I'm so
and I can blame you
Why-
for that.
I was so confused because there was clapping going on. I'm like,
know.
wait,
No,
was
no.
the
Am I reading it
excitement
wrong?
that got to me.
I am the chaos in this
Yeah, right.
scenario.
Yeah.
Okay,
apparently.
so you are you're sort of
Just
reaching to subtly light the fuse, kind of like behind you, and the guards are like, hey, what are you doing there? And one of them is like, he's pushing it towards the candle. Is it got gunpowder in there? So they definitely see what you're doing. You're gonna take another 10 damage,
Okay.
just as you realize this situation is starting to spiral out of control.
Can I go?
right.
Convince
you did
someone of
light
action.
it. You absolutely
Oh, I did light
it.
it.
And then so like
Oh,
they
they just
they,
caught you.
they realize what's happened. And are you still tossing it towards them? You can absolutely.
So, no. Now I'm going to
Okay.
toss it toward the window Like,
The-
like not
like
out
a-
the window, but I'm gonna try and make a
like
big hole.
like at the
Okay.
base of the window,
Okay.
basically.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, great.
So you can leap with the.
I like the way this is going.
I can run like hell. I'm gonna use the big painting as a hang glider. Jump out the window.
Just spin around.
Alright.
So it's
So here's the question I'm going to ask. It was meant to have a short or a slow fuse, right? But you
I'll
could
short
have
it.
lit it closer.
Yes.
How close did you light it? Is this like a you throw it and it goes boom?
Let's do hand grenade. 6 seconds.
Great, perfect. All right, so downstairs, you're like clapping your cymbals and you're like giving Steven Guard the eyes. You're like, "What's up, Steve? How's it going, man? Hope you like this tune. We wrote this jam just for you." You are watching your tumblers unsuccessfully run into this giant bodyguard. You're sneaking off. You're like
Yeah.
on the stairs.
And
So you
actually-
hear like the calamity from below. You hear harsh words from above, and you're like getting ready to head up the stairs when a cacophonous roar tears through the entire like building, basically, right?
okay. Because we know about the bomb, that's the bomb.
Yeah, 100%.
Okay,
Yes.
okay.
You better hope it's the bomb.
Bomb goes off. Upstairs, the entire like frame around the window blasts out, revealing like you're looking now down into the backyard and the canal that goes out towards the waterway that goes out to the main canal.
Man, a getaway boat would have been real nice.
There's the
Okay,
canal.
so you blasted a hole in the wall. You are on the stairs. What do you do?
May I go for? Yeah, I was gonna say.
Absolutely, yeah.
Because
You're closest, so I'm going to go to you next.
Thank you. So the explosion happens. Doors rip off the hinge, the concussive sort of thing where it's
It like
clearly.
leans on the hinge. Yeah,
Okay,
but
so
like,
what
yeah.
I'd like to do is I would like to continue my roll and jump through the door in a tumble and distract the guards. Be like, "Hey, you're missing a show."
Are you sure you don't want to distract the guards with your crossbow, Mr.
Yeah,
Sharpshooter?
you wanna-
I do a tumble. I say, "Hey!" They turn around and thunk thunk. But I'm gonna go for the most obvious target. Rather than the guards, I'm going to go for
Sophia
who I
Bloodpuddle?
know to be the blood paddle. Blood puddle.
Okay, great.
The old woman.
All right, so you've got some special
She's a
abilities.
witch.
You
We
got
know
some
this.
special abilities related to your sharpshooting. This.
Like shoot
So
someone?
I just do not miss.
yeah. Well, you've also got like two-fisted shooting, right?
Yeah.
So what does that do?
When you can't stop to attacking with a bow. What is it?
Two-fisted shooting. When
Yeah.
you succeed.
When you succeed an attack against a squad of minions when using a bow, crossbow, firearm, or weapon you throw, you reduce a squad's size by 2 instead of by 1. Any boons you roll on that attack also reduce the squad size by 2 for each boon instead of just 1.
Yeah. Okay. So just to let you know, these 5 guards in here are a squad of minions. So basically, every successful attack against them is going to take 2 of them out instead of 1.
Okay.
And then if you roll boons, that's another 2 each one. But you can still attack Sophia Bloodpuddle. That's fine. I just wanted you to be aware of your ability.
Okay, so is she? Can I qualify her as part of these minions? They're all
No.
enemies.
no, she's her own character, right?
Okay, so
But
I either attack the minions
Yep.
or I attack her.
now, because you're coming in, there's this distraction. I'm going to give you 2 advantage dice on whatever
Oh,
attack you
shoot
make,
those
but it's for
minions.
this round only. Because like
Element
once
of
you're in the
surprise.
room shooting, yeah, and also like they're
minions.
deafened
You
by
can-
the explosion.
You can clear
Minions?
the
Yeah,
entire room.
get 'em,
How
get 'em, get 'em.
sweet is that?
That's
Just be like, hey!
Yes, I guess. Okay, I'm gonna go for the
Listen,
minions. There-
you do you. You're
There's
your own
more.
man,
There's
but-
more advantage with the minions, and frankly, I would go for kind of the larger group anyway.
Okay.
apparently, So
Don't know that you're gonna eliminate her that easily either.
All right, so go ahead and
Okay.
give me a roll with 2 advantage dice. Let's see what you got here.
and I'm at shoot someone. That's what I'm rolling
Yeah,
for,
shoot
right?
someone, yeah,
90.
absolutely.
Come on, stink eye. Honor the eye. Yes. No. Yes. But
well,
I do.
you still take out
shoot.
2 of them.
Yeah.
All right, so you come rolling into the room, 2 crossbows at the ready. What happens?
The 2 that are furthest away from me.
Yep.
I mean, are they dead? I take them out. They're done.
Yeah.
They're out.
These guys,
Okay,
you have
boom,
to kill them basically. Yeah.
They're gone.
All right.
The rest of them have obviously everybody's turned around to see what's happening. There's an explosion. There's a dunk, dunk. 2 of them drop.
All right. Great. Perfect. Downstairs, the 2 of you still need to go.
Yeah, that
Nice.
is
I got
an
your back.
accurate
You've heard the
Here, I'm here
boom.
for
You see that the guard is the big armored guy. He looks like he's about to leap into action.
Oh, that's scary. I don't have any fighting ability. You should know
Sorry, I
that.
used my bomb.
I think you should go first because I want him to move away from the wall so I can see if there is any way to get him out of his armor.
I have a nuclear option here, which I'm interested in.
Do tell.
I'm gonna try and ensorcel Lord Cinder to call off the Steel Guard.
Okay.
Interesting.
Okay.
Interesting.
I like where your head's at.
Yeah,
All
give
right.
me those
Yeah,
challenge dice.
I like it. Okay. So you're going to use
So
your
I will
enchantment.
I will change countenance immediately and bark very authoritatively at Cinder. Make your guard stand down. With
All
the
right.
eye contact.
Perfect. Perfect.
Focus,
n-
driven.
yeah.
Sorry.
No, that's fine.
Okay,
you
so
make the roll.
10.
But I'm going to also give you an advantage on this because he has already been sort of like removed from the scene effectively.
Okay, so that's gonna cancel, and I'll have 2 disadvantages afterwards
Okay.
On a successful roll.
on a successful roll of 10, mind you.
Yes.
10.
Perfect.
Very successful.
Now.
So you roll 10 even?
Yeah.
Okay, great. That's fine. Okay. All right, so you roll
That
2
sound you love came
drawbacks.
back.
I know.
You're going to lose. There you go. You're going to lose 20 luck here. Okay. Why don't you tell me what happens during your use of sorcery that causes you to lose that luck? Could be fatigue.
I think
be-
honestly, I think it's such a taxing thing to
Uh-huh.
to impede or to put your
Influence.
will on somebody else like
Yeah.
that it just drains you.
Okay, yeah. So what
I'm going
happens?
with the easy out, but
No,
I think
that's
it's
good.
it's difficult mentally.
So
to
you're
have
there,
somebody
you
else-
see
That's
him
fair.
do this. He uses his sorcery, and immediately Lord Cinder barks an order. He says, "Stone, halt right there. Let the guards upstairs take care of it. I need you next to me in case someone comes after me." He gives this command, and Stone, like the big guard, he was getting ready to move into action. He steps back and moves into the room and then takes up a position next to Lord Cinder. You're sort of looking at him as he does this, and you almost see like a little bit of the light goes out of his eyes, and you see he kind of like wilts just
The
a little
tiny
bit.
death.
Well, that's
Him.
I'll falter a little bit afterwards. I think
Sort
but
of
that's it.
taking on the aura of Lord Cinder a little bit, maybe.
Maybe a little, maybe a
Okay,
little.
okay.
Indeed, you know that the whole thing about it wasn't the years; it was the mileage from Lord Cinder. Well, it's starting to look a little bit the same for your circle friend over there.
Vitaly
Okay.
All right.
gained a few miles
so-
himself.
That was
my
him.
turn.
So it's your turn. Yes, thank you.
Are the stairs in view from the parlor? Like, will Stone still be able to see me go up the stairs
Yes.
at this point?
Well, from where he is, deep in the parlor, no. Like
Okay.
you basically could get up that way.
All right, I'm going to pretend tumble my way up the stairs.
Reverse
great.
tumble.
Reverse tumble.
Right,
it's,
sounds good.
it's a skill that took a long time to perfect. And I am going to throw myself into the study with reckless abandonment.
Okay.
Do the hoo-ha thing.
Can't even make it.
All right.
And
like Muppets.
That's a proven distraction. Come on.
I have a couple routes I can go here. I can use this to distract someone. I can try to pitch to Rodney that I should be able to throw my own body as throw something. No, didn't think so.
You could just like pick something up and throw it.
Yeah, I
There's
think
like
can throw me or I can throw
candlesticks
you.
and
I,
or
We can
like all
throw
the
each other.
occult
We're
objects that are on the
tumblers.
shelves.
yeah,
Just
I
pick up
am-
a skull.
Yeah,
I am going
they're
to-
this place is lousy with skulls.
There's so many. I'm gonna pick up the closest thing when I enter the room that looks
It might have been the
heavy
last Mummers
and
troop.
mean.
Okay.
And I am going to toss it at one of the guards.
Okay, sure, sounds good. Give me a roll.
How many guards were there? 5, you said? 4?
There's
There
three
were
left.
5. There's 3 left.
3 left. Okay.
And my throw, just so you guys know, is terrible. I throw this skull, and it arcs over the guard's head and hits the wall and just shatters into a million pieces.
Hits blood puddle.
No,
Accidentally.
it doesn't hurt,
I'm not quite
unfortunately.
that lucky.
All right, so speaking of blood puddle, you've just come into the room and hurled this thing in. You've shot these 2 people, but you were the most recent person to come in the room. She turns towards you, and when she looks at you, you feel, you know that sort of the way it looks in a TV show where they move the camera forward but pull it out at the same time, where everything kind of
Yeah.
shifts at a different
Yeah.
rate. Like that's kind of how you feel in your head. You can tell she's definitely trying to use her sorcery on you, but you manage to shake it off. Meanwhile, the remaining guards turn and they converge on you with their sabers. So they basically dart towards you and start slashing you. They're going to succeed. You're going to take 12 damage as they basically start slashing at you. They're kind of backing you into a corner. Back over to you guys.
All right.
I've now barged in. Have they turned attention back to
So are all 3 of you up in the room then? You
Yes,
you
they
ran
are.
into the room upstairs.
Yep.
Yeah.
You're the only one
Okay,
downstairs. my friend.
downstairs.
There's
Downstairs, I go, and we call it the aristocrats.
All right, so the blood puddle is at least facing Gwen at the moment. Yeah. And the guards are onto Tommy. So with the explosion, the candles, the room has been disturbed.
Oh, absolutely.
Does the painting still have that weird sort of glow and stone?
Not as
the
strongly
aura
as it
coming-
did before.
I'm gonna go for the painting.
Okay, cool. You can just climb up and pull it down.
Yeah,
basically.
basically,
Yeah.
I'm gonna
Carefully
grab it
remove it and
yeah.
everything. It is heavy as hell, but it's still just a wood frame and a canvas, so you can like sort of unwieldily pull it down
Okay.
while they're all distracted. We'll just say that's your action for the turn.
Okay, yeah, that's
great.
All right. You should go 1st
I'm-
because you can actually hurt people.
Yeah, I'm gonna go for the remaining guards.
Okay.
They've slashed me. I
Now,
tumble away.
if you want to, you could help him and give him another boon, or give him an advantage die on the roll, but instead of your turn, yeah.
I'm going to help him.
All right. Basically using, basically acting as a distraction
Yeah,
or...
absolutely. I'm going to start throwing out flashbangs all over the place.
Okay, great.
And screaming
that.
things like, razzle dazzle!
Okay, sounds good. All right, so basically, she's helping you, so you're going to have an advantage die on the roll.
I love
Okay, does
everything
that
that's happening right now.
give me the chance to maybe get 3 guys, or is it just?
Well, yeah, it's
more likelihood
rolling boons lets you take out more guys.
Okay.
Basically. Yeah.
Okay.
So if you want to, take more shots
for each boon.
Mr.
Okay.
Sharpshooter.
Yeah, I'm going
All
for
right.
it. So
Well, just one
3
advantage die. No,
one advantage.
They are no longer surprised.
My distraction's not that good.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh.
That's 100.
I thought it was
That is-
0, 0,
Nope,
0.
that is definitely 100.
That's
Damn
100.
it.
That's
what?
That's the
Ten.
one.
That's
That's
100.
That's
All right.
within this means of rolling. It's
Right.
the worst you could do.
So what I'm going to say is...
I was like 0. That's like triple snake eyes.
You did end up with a boon, though. So what I'm going to say is that instead of so you take your shots at these 2 guys, but you both shots miss, but one of them actually streaks past one of the guards and comes super close to Sophia Bloodpuddle. So I'm going to say that she actually takes a little bit of damage too.
Gosh, that was a terrible roll.
Okay. All right. So that was you 2 downstairs.
I will, as I make my way quickly to the stairs, look at the merchants.
Are you
and-
basically telling the mummers troop to like, all right, fellas, pack it up?
Because there's still
Well, no,
guys
no, I
down there
will.
with you.
So
Distracting,
I'm going
distracting.
to run towards the stairs, and I will actually yell at the merchants. I'm like, "Show's over, boys!" And I'm running upstairs.
Okay, sounds good.
Am I gonna
you
be able
get, you get up there, yeah. sure.
Okay, am I getting up there and doing something?
If you
or-
want, yeah,
okay.
absolutely.
Well, I have brass knuckles on now, which I keep with me at all times. It's a circle thing.
Of course.
And who's closest to me that I don't know in that room?
The guards that came in second are the
They're
closest
punched.
to, yeah.
Punch the bag lady.
Hard.
All right.
Which is to say they're punched. 02.
Okay. So, all right. So yeah, you're gonna take one of them out. Why don't you describe to me what happens when you take them out?
A sickening crunch of cartilage.
Ugh. Okay.
And
well,
he
that was
goes
a little
to the
darker than I
ground,
thought.
and I'm looking at the other one because
Okay.
I'm going to chase him
Yeah.
next.
There's two that still have sabers on him. So yeah, you basically come in from behind, take one of them out.
I yell, "Who's next?"
All right. Great. All right. So you've come
And
charging.
then I
in the room.
go, "Ugh."
You've come charging the room and just took one down. The
That's
other
just
2 actually
confusing for the
turn their
guards.
sabers on you and are going to try and slash at you. They're going to succeed. You're going to take 8 damage as they slash at you. Sophia sees you pulling down the portrait, and she says, "No, you ruin everything. Leave that. I command it." And like when she says the word command, it sort of like echoes through the room. Turns out she does command it. You're going to take 30 damage from her.
So that's
mental
gonna give
strength.
me. That's gonna take me to 0,
Okay, that takes you to 0. So
and it'll take me
That's-
below 0 actually. So,
so
it'll
there's
take a
no below
wound.
0.
Yeah,
You won't take a
okay.
wound at this time. You can now start being wounded.
Okay.
We've literally worn down your plot armor.
Yep.
Yes, that's exactly right. Okay. Interesting. Okay, cool. So you feel her voice echo through your head, and you feel a compulsion to put it down because you'll ruin everything if you keep carrying it out. So basically what that means is like your luck is now gone. If she commands you to do this again, you will have effectively no choice. You'll be completely under her thrall. You still get to act this turn, but now
What
that
do
your
we do
luck has
now?
run out,
All right, I'm doing it.
All right, so it's back to you guys. It's back to you guys now.
I think
I draw my knife and I put it to the throat of the man in the painting, and I say, "Back off, bitch, or I'll do it."
Vigo gets it.
That's
The
I
canvas.
feel like that's probably a roll to either intimidate someone or goad someone if you have either of those. Or convince. I would also say convince.
I don't have any of that.
Then it's anything else, my friend. But I'm going to give you an advantage die on that because she.
I mean, she's an animal.
She
so-
really does not want you to slash this painting.
So
You
I
could
don't.
also just attack her.
Yep. So you roll anything else, which is 50%.
Yeah, I mean, I guess this would be just kind of an attack against her, like.
Yeah,
A
that's what
mental
you're doing.
attack.
mental
It's a
attack,
mental
like
Yep,
attack.
that's
Yeah.
exactly right.
Wearing her down.
Yes.
Does that work
Yep.
that way in reverse?
Well, I meant
Yep.
you could physically attack.
Oh, I know that, but
Yeah.
I like this painting route right now.
I'm gonna.
That's
see
good.
What
This
this
is good.
does.
I like it.
I rolled low.
Yes.
14.
Would you roll 14? Okay.
Good job.
That was the time to do it, I
appropriate
think.
clapping
Yeah,
that time?
yeah,
I feel
Right,
like
I'm like pushing the knife on the canvas so
Yeah.
you can kind of see
See
it.
it
yeah. Bending.
bending
yeah.
Flying
in.
pressure,
And she's like,
right?
no,
Like-
no, whatever you do, don't harm it.
Back off.
All right. What about the rest of you?
All right, you guys should
I-
go first because you actually have.
actually I think I went.
No,
we
that was
No,
last
we
time
were
around.
gonna
We
do
went back
round.
around.
Oh, I
You
get
ran
There's
in and
only
punched.
there's only really 2 antagonists left. The 2 guards and then Sophia. So
Yeah.
All right.
I-
okay.
I think that obviously you're kind of taking stock of the room, and I see Dante, grab the knife, grab the canvas, and I feel like there's this battle of wills happening.
Yeah.
and
I got no will left.
I think maybe the guards are actually less important at this point
Okay.
than Sophia, and I recognize the power she holds, and I just unleash on her.
Okay,
She's
great.
distracted. She's doing.
Take the shot. Are you using your hand crossbows or are you going to use your heavy crossbow?
Heavy.
Can I whip out my heavy crossbow?
Yeah, absolutely. Sure.
Well,
It could have been stashed with one of them, right? Or like he could have brought it in his pack.
okay, I had been like using the small crossbows. All of a sudden, I'm like,
Yeah, like you could, like in
I was
your
tumbling with this
in
fucker,
your
too.
mummers guys, you probably had your hand crossbows, but
You
now
need
you're
a
upstairs with
hundred.
him.
This guy's is a pinata.
yeah.
Yeah.
Shoot with your pinata.
All right. All right. But yeah. So like you can like run over to the pack that he carried in with him.
Yeah.
And you like pull it
Grab
out.
it out.
Yeah. All right. Take a shot.
Try to take her out. 12.
12. But heavy crossbow, I believe.
Plus 50 damage.
All right. So that's 62 damage.
Nice.
You're taking her out. Why don't you describe what happens?
She's distracted. She's looking away from me. I just goes right underneath her shoulder blade and just
All right.
right
She
through.
drops to the ground, lifeless. All right. So there's
that
two
is not how I anticipated that ending.
two guards left.
Oh my God.
And the 2 of you still haven't acted. So
Oh, I look at the guards. I'm like, do we want to keep doing this?
you can try and intimidate them.
Sure.
All right. Give me the roll.
06.
Do you want to help him with that, or do you want to do your own thing? You can.
No, I want to help him. I'm gonna make my mean face.
All right.
And
Roll an advantage die along with it.
Yep.
There it is. All right. So
My
these
mean face
last
is real good,
these
guys.
last 2 guards, they see the
One
like,
was faltering, but he looks at you and he's like,
they see the heavy crossbow bolt like punched through her. They see like you're like looking all like fisticuffy, and then you're making weird faces behind him.
they're mean faces.
And the 2 of them say, "We should make sure that Lord Cinder is safe," and they basically turn and book it down the stairs. So they have fled. Taking them out. You have a few moments. You've got the painting down.
let's.
What's your escape?
Jump out the hole.
I feel like there's a hole in the wall that's
like,
really
There's a hole in the
helpful.
wall waiting for us to
Yeah,
jump
they
out of.
didn't say. I don't believe we have to recover the frame or any of that. So if it gets beat up, but like.
Oh, that's a brilliant idea that could maybe go wrong when you cut into an ensorcelled painting. And I'm actually not being facetious.
No,
I do
I
like
know.
the idea of cutting it out of the frame.
I mean,
That's how you steal paintings.
At this
Yeah.
point, you guys have you've done it. You've succeeded. So tell me how you get away.
all right. So I mean, out the wall, and we don't have any kind of boat waiting in the canal. There's either the front gate or over the freaking wall with this damn thing.
You could always steal his private gondola.
which is what we're gonna do.
There we go. Off
Hint,
to the
hint.
canal. We will take
All
the
right.
painting and the boat.
So you go out the hole where the window used to be, lowering this giant painting down, right? Load it into the gondola,
like
and
4 of us on each corner.
Right, yeah.
Across the lawn.
Yeah, running across the lawn.
It's
right?
like a big piece of carpet.
Apparently
You
this
load
thing
it. You load it into the gondola, and one of you like gets the gondola pole and starts shoving off. And as you're doing so, you kind of look up and you see the silhouettes backlit in the room that you just climbed out of what's clearly Lord Cinder and his hulking bodyguards standing over him as you pull your way out into the main canal and then make your
I wanna
getaway.
scream,
Damn it.
remember the BMs for your next event as we go.
I was gonna say now
We
would
go
been the
boom.
best time for the aristocrats joke.
Yeah. All right.
I apologize for the painting.
Yes.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
I'm
Scary
sorry,
painting.
Vigo. I never would have done it.
All right, and that's the portrait job. So you guys did it. You succeeded. Good job.
Yay.
Awesome. That was fun.
I actually, to date, I haven't been in a game yet where somebody's been taken all the way down.
It happens every now and then. She got arrested in one of our playtest games by getting reduced to 0 and then irons clapped on her. Oh, and you weren't there the night that Eric got arrested by guards breaking
Yeah.
into the diamond shop as well. So
Oh, really?
Oh, it does happen.
It does happen. Getting out of jail's fun, though.
Yeah.
So 'cause
That's
not
what
all
I've
of us
heard.
are thieves who can bust our own way out of
Right.
jail.
Yeah, well, I also feel like I sort of walked in solo to the difficult part.
Yeah.
While the
For
trio massaged the.
No, I mean, like, that's the
It
thing.
was
Is
good,
that
though, yeah.
there's all these distractions.
Yeah.
You guys came up with a plan that was your skill sets played into them, and you succeeded. So, yeah, there we go.
I do feel a little bit bad about killing Blood Puddle without learning about what the
But you knew
what the
she was
goal
going to
was.
try to take over the city.
Yeah.
Like, you knew she was a bad
Something
lady.
was happening.
I have to
clearly,
also give a slight design credit to my wife for Sophia Bloodpuddle because this morning Tammy was talking about, or my wife was talking about, when you like prick your finger. She's like, yeah, and then you get like the blood puddle thing. And
Nice.
so that's where that name came from.
Nice. Good
Cool. Well, I don't know that Eric is watching or coming back in here, but that is Dusk City Outlaws. I will say there's like 8 days left in the Dusk City Outlaws Kickstarter, so if you haven't backed yet, it'd be awesome if you could go check that out and maybe put in a pledge to get the game. It is you can go to tinyurl.com/Dusk City Outlaws, and I'm sure the link is up on the live stream. But yeah, anyways, thanks for watching, and thanks guys for playing. I really appreciate
Yeah,
it.
thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks for running, man. It was a
Yeah,
blast.
Fantastic, fun, unique. Yeah, I thought it was great.
Cool.
I love every heist.
Yeah,
Cool.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.
Thank
yeah, it's
you.
a neat feature too with the influence. Is it always like that? The kind of the arc of playing the game is that you. The first half, the first 60% of it is very heavy on kind of the pre-planning, spending influence, and then you run the heist.
Yeah, because you guys come up with the plan, that is like there's time built in for you to set up that plan and then pull it off. Because like there's a little bit of information gathering, and then at a certain point it shifts into like, all right, here's what we're gonna do, and you need to be able to get out in the city. Now we're playing a compressed I've designed these to be like 2-3 hours long. So in a longer heist that was maybe a 4 or 8 hour long thing, you would do multiple days worth of legwork. And so like once you figured out like, okay, here's the deal, and we want to pull off this plan, you might be going out into the city and doing legwork to get more allies, or like a lot of things you spent influence on, you might have instead done legwork to get those things, or even be able to take out some of these obstacles in advance. So like you might have been able to, like if they were, let's say you guys had a whole other day, you might have been able to go to where Sophia Bloodpuddle lives and actually take her out of the job early, either like assassinating her or just like convincing her like, hey, don't go to your meeting tomorrow night, right? So you would be able to make the job easier when you pull it off in advance and stuff like that too, right?
Yep.
So.
And what is the mechanic for gaining influence once you're out of influence?
So getting influence, the 2 ways you can get it are every time you guys do a planning scene in a new location, I give you 1 group influence. Each of you can get individual ones by picking or by setting up legwork scenes that are risky and exciting,
Yeah.
and not like playing it safe.
Yeah.
And every time you do that, you get a personal influence.
Okay.
Cool.
Fantastic.
Yeah, neat.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Very
Appreciate
cool.
it.
Yeah.
Hey.